Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome to a spooky Sunday of Call of Cthulhu here at C Plus Content. We should do that thing where we introduce ourselves to people and say a little bit about our characters. Hey, Misha, how's Eloise?
Eloise is doing great. She is a nurse, you can tell because of her nurse outfit, um, at the school, and so far is definitely sane. That's a lie. She's totally insane. She has like a weird obsession of like following, being easily suggestible, and also really likes eggs for some reason. That's a new one. Also was helping her bestie professor keep a creature who used to be a person in a basement. But no one knows about that. That's a secret. We're keeping it on the down low. Hopefully he's not a lurker beneath. Otherwise that's gonna be awkward. At any rate, I'm Misha or Misha underscore lesson 3. I don't really stream here on Twitch. I just do this stuff. Hang out in people's channels. Sin.
Hi, I'm Sin, or Sinful __ Potato on Twitch and other places. And I do stream. The days are complicated. It's fine. But I do stream. I will be playing Dr. Etta Wells, or Dr. Wells, a alienist or psychologist. So far believes that our friend Eloise is completely sane. So it's gonna be fun. And also, I didn't have to add any type of potato to this because it's in the Cavendish collection. Because Cavendish Farms makes potatoes or has potato products. You know, it's fine. It's cool.
You're
Why?
welcome.
Hello, I'm Dwellick, and I shall be playing Sir Reggie Keaton. Sir Reggie is an explorer by trade, which you can tell because he has no talent in languages whatsoever, so he has to speak very loudly and slowly to locals. Between sessions, Sir Reggie tried to take his new girlfriend shooting in the woods because obviously this is the sort of thing that Sir Reggie enjoys, and he might take a moment to wrap his arms around her and show her how to pull the stock into her shoulder and so on. It turns out that librarians at Arkham University are really good with rifles, so that was a bit of a bust. Narrator, introduce yourself.
Yes. Well, hold on. How old is she? Because isn't she like a lot older than Sir Reggie?
One doesn't ask rude questions.
Okay, it's fine. I completely forgot that Sir Reggie ingratiated himself with a much older librarian. I mean, you do you. So yes, I'm going to say that through the school, Miskatonic University, yeah, you all know each other, at least in passing. I think certainly Eloise and Dr. Wells know each other well enough for Dr. Wells's diagnostic capabilities to go completely haywire and fail to detect the obvious mental distress. Eloise is clearly uneven. But for whatever reason, maybe because the source is supernatural, Dr. Wells is unable currently to detect it. Eloise, have you encouraged anyone else to talk to Dr. Wells? Have you encouraged like that lovely taxi driver Maurice,
Of course.
or Madge, or any of the other people
Maurice.
who you have known who
Well-
have undergone all kinds of horrible psychological distress?
Well, Madge is fine.
Right.
Madge is completely fine.
Yeah.
That's a separate concern. But
I
Maurice
see.
seemed really upset after the last time and almost died. Definitely.
Yeah.
as I saved him from the river. And that's a traumatic kind of experience for anyone to have. I mean, not me. I'm used to this kind of thing as a nurse. But for him, I think I would probably have reached out and said, "Oh, Dr. Wells, could you stop by the school? This is a series. This is a, what do we do? You have phones now?
Yeah.
A letter, perhaps, asking Dr. Wells, oh, please stop by the school. We've had several distressing events you might have seen in the newspaper." And of course, there's some news clippings added into the letter for effect of underlining events. And it's like, I think people would appreciate your expert help. Perhaps you can perform some guest lectures while you're here as well.
Mm.
I'll put in a word with the dean.
Yes. Those of them that are left, the administration of the of the university that haven't been murdered recently. Yeah. So what that means, Dr. Wells, is that you have at least the broad sketches of some unusual goings on involving some individuals here in town, cult stuff, weird mathematical equations opening rifts into other universes through which horrible things try to come out and eat people. You know, your typical obvious fantasy. You know, I'm sure there's some sort, it's all symbolic of something, right? But so we'll say that you are not you are not entirely unaware that a number of folks around town have had some strange experiences recently, whatever you may think of that. So we don't have to find a way to bring you into the fold. So Dr. Wells, you are here in Arkham, seeing patients, conducting research, lecturing, of course. I think through Dr. Wells, there is an invitation to attend to the Cavendish Manor, which is, probably 20 miles outside of Arkham. It is a name that is probably familiar to many. They are a old, wealthy New England family, and frequent donators to museums and the library of Miskatonic. So while they don't socialize, they don't live in town, and you don't see them much about, they are a recognizable name. And the invitation includes that you should bring with you a few individuals who are discreet, but also not easily put off by the strange. Does anyone spring to mind, Dr. Wells?
Well, of course, I need to bring my dear friend Eloise, who has mightily invited me here. And, of course, we need a brave, strong man to accompany us. Frail, beautiful women. So, I choose the mighty Sir Reginald to accompany us.
He is a famed, well, not exactly famed, infamous, I suppose, adventurer. I think anyone who has an education over about 60 realizes that some of the details of Sir Reggie's tales are geographically and historically questionable.
I'll have you know that my research into the pygmy elephants of Borneo proved that they were the same size as every other elephant in the world, and I brought back several dead samples to prove it.
Most of which had already been made into an elephant foot umbrella stand from the high street. But, you know, do what you got to do. Very well. So, I will say you come together as usual in Eloise's office. What happens?
Oh, Dr. Wells, it's so good to see you again. How has it been here on campus? You've been so busy.
Oh, is the life of a psychiatrist, my dear. Everyone has their days, everyone has challenges, but we all come together to become one.
I think for the people who
That's
just experienced a horrible cultic experience, there's a little bit of the, okay.
oh, that's so nice. Um, have you had a chance much to talk with Sir Reginald about the events?
Well,
In passing. Oh,
I don't really believe in head shrinking, you know? I'm more than happy to have a nice brunch and talk about cricket.
Ah, yes. It's so fascinating, cricket.
Well, you see, the wonderful thing about cricket is the right angles stay right. It rather puts the mind at ease.
yes. You never want a wrong angle.
Very good. Well, I know we were meeting before heading off on this invitation that you had gotten. Yes, Dr. Wells? Are you very
Yes.
familiar with the Cavendish family?
Well, aren't you? They're mighty famous, aren't they?
Well, yes, and that I know they've been given grants to the schools, but it's interesting that they've reached out to you directly, I'd say. I mean, perhaps they heard you were in town. Was there anything
It's
particular
probably
on the note, Zero,
Might
as
be,
far
you
as
might want to examine it, yes. So it has, I think, Eloise, I think I would like you to make a psychology.
well, one of the dice went to the floor, so that's going to be a minute.
Okay.
Let me just grab my other dice over here.
Xena rolls
The
it.
cursed ones.
She's like, crit.
Crit. That is. Oh, yep. I probably 12 under 40, so a hard success.
Oh,
Which
yes.
one? Which? Sorry, what are the success levels again?
So
Regular.
regular, hard, extreme. So
All
you
right,
got
hard success.
50%, but not below 20%. So
Yes.
yes, so a hard success. So I think you detect it is, well, first of all, it is a relatively formal invitation. It is precisely as you expected. The Cavendishes had heard that Dr. Wells was in town, wanted to invite her out to the Cavendish Manor to thank her for her contributions to academia and to the study of psychology and the inner landscape. But you are detecting slight hints. There's a mention of discretion. There's a mention of potential need for her particular skills, and the fact that it is suggested that she bring a few trusted individuals with her that give you the idea that something is going on that is more than it seems.
Well, look at this. Normally, in these formal invitations, they wouldn't ask you to uh, basically keep it quiet. I wonder if someone there's having any trouble of a more dangerous sort. Very interesting. You know, this reminds me of a time when, and then she goes off on a long story about some other staff member who had a period of indiscretion and so on. Because Eloise, of course, is a big gossip,
Yes.
and this is very, very interesting to her.
I mean, I would never reveal anything secret, but let me reveal a bunch of secrets about my prior patients. Yes.
Yes, exactly. It's happening right now.
Narrator, what do I know about the Cavendishes? What
Oh,
interests do they have?
I think either history or credit rating.
I would love to roll credit rating.
Yes.
That would be a 1 and a 1.
Oh, so 11, which is what type of success?
That would be a extreme, I believe.
Wow. Oh, that's right, because your credit rating is quite high.
Yeah, it's 60. So.
Okay, yes. Well done. So, yes, you are familiar, first of all, with the broader Cavendish family. There is, they are simply a slightly less reputable, less wealthy branch of a large and very established family where you're from. Various different kind of, I mean, you probably have a few. It's like, oh, well, there was a baronet over here and a whatever over there. But they seem to have, throughout the years, married relatively well, found a way to, distinguish themselves without distinguishing themselves enough to fall out of favor under any kind of political changes. Just your typical kind of landed gentry. You don't know as much about the North American branch of the family, but I will say that probably, when you first came across to work on your memoirs and to lecture, etc., I think you probably met Charles Cavendish III, the current patriarch of the family, and were probably most impressed by his wife, Drusilla, his second wife, you've heard. Which makes sense because you know that he has 2 children of college age, and Drusilla is perhaps a bit young and not, I think, according to your standards, not entirely suitable. And perhaps at that party you heard a few rumors that, yes, the original Mrs. Cavendish died, unfortunately. But the good news is that they had a wonderful housemaid who stepped in and filled the gap left by both mother and wife. And within a few scant years was herself, Mrs. Cavendish. Something I think that would be just horribly, horribly scandalous in the 20s across the pond. Here, somewhat scandalous, but not quite as bad. And in fact, do you believe they have a young daughter? So 2 children from the first marriage and then 1 young daughter, probably 8 years old. Obviously, none of these were present. And these are just you schmoozing and picking up a bunch of random information as you were kind of being introduced around.
I take it the 2 college-aged kids are off at a college somewhere.
Yes. Well, you assume so. I think you probably didn't get the rundown. But the sense that you get of Charles himself is reserved, obviously quite wealthy, obviously of high class. Like there's nothing climbing about him. There's no trying. I mean, you could tell he didn't try to put on any particular airs. He didn't necessarily dress his best. He had that certain gentility and lack of concern that a combination of generational wealth and breeding will get you. And seemed to be someone who suffered fools not particularly gladly. You remember some sort of, you weren't party to it, but you remember some sort of kerfluffle. And he apparently lost patience and left a bit early. Not so early as to be entirely rude, but close. But then again, this was months and months ago, and you don't remember it super clearly.
Of course.
He might, however, remember you, because you were introduced.
One would hope so.
Yes.
Dr. Wells, Eloise, when my steamer was first pulling into port, I happened to meet Charles Cavendish there. He was quite an affable fellow, very nice. Wife had a very sharp mind. She was a bit well, one wouldn't want to say bad things about our hosts, but Charles definitely loved her for her mind.
It's rare to come across a smart woman these days.
So, shall we take a motor car down to the house?
We shall.
All right. So no research. Gonna go in blind. That's fine. You're on mute there, Mish. So,
Yeah.
very well. So I assume, Sir Reggie, you'll be taking your car. Oh, I suppose Dr. Wells would have a car as well.
We can take Reginald's car, it's fine.
All right.
This is my second car in the Americas, the first one having ended up in a hedge.
Yes.
You know, you can get another run and all. They're cheap things, motor cars.
Yes. Yes. Sir Reggie, would you give me a luck roll?
Not great. A bit of a failure.
No, so is it a bit of a failure or is it a terrible, terrible failure?
It is 72 over 58.
Okay, so just a run-of-the-mill failure. All right. So, yes, you make it most of the way. You are heading out of town toward Coldwater Falls. The Cavendish Manor sits on a kind of low rolling hill, somewhat above that small hamlet. And you get within, and you think about a mile, when, unfortunately, one of your tires blows. So go ahead and give me a drive. I think it is a lovely, pleasant day. I think you have the top down and therefore aren't going terribly, terribly fast. So I won't even make it difficult.
That would be a normal success. Just.
Ah, wow. Well, so with a bit of grumbling, you are more than capable of keeping it under control, kind of rattling it over into the verge.
Damn thing.
Yes. This is how your cars keep winding up in hedges.
Goodness. What was that?
Oh, the tire blew. I'm sure it'll just be. I have a spare in the boot, you know. Probably. I have a man to check the boot.
Yeah, no. I'll even say, just to use it up, Major Bane, there is no spare.
I check the boot and discover there is no spare. Well, it appears we're going to be walking.
Oh, dear. Well, I'm sure they'll be able to summon some sort of auto repair mechanic person to help out your car once we get
Oh,
there.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Charles was a very affable man. I'm sure he'll sort it out in no trouble.
Right.
And a bit of air wouldn't hurt our lovely souls this time of day.
The weather is quite nice,
Yes. So you're going
so we
to
stroll.
stroll. Are you taking bags with you?
I mean, yes.
All right.
I was going to check the glove compartment for a map. You know.
Oh, luck roll.
99, which I believe is not good.
It's not good. What is your luck though total?
58.
Okay, so it's above 50. So it's not a critical failure, but it's about as close as it can possibly get. So you are quite unlucky. Oh, how can we make this interesting? I think you actually do find a map. But confidently misread it.
The thing about cold waterfalls is that it's at the bottom of a waterfall. There's lots of cold water there. Anyway, this way.
Right. And I think it takes some time. I think you get turned around a bit, maybe looking at the map upside down. So I think by the time I think probably at some point as the daylight begins to wane and the temperature starts to drop, I think for Eloise and Dr. Wells, the prospect of a nice, brisk, mile-long walk has now turned into a several-hour-long sort of shamble with all of your things. At some point, I'm sure someone loses patience. Or not. Maybe not. Eloise is so agreeable.
I am very agreeable. Maybe just your standard, oh, are you sure we haven't passed by this way? Could I take a look at the map? Just to see if we can get our bearings.
Oh, that hedgerow looks just like the other hedgerows because hedgerows look alike. It's the same in jungles, you know. When I was in Borneo, we went past several trees that looked quite like each other. But I shall share the map with Eloise since she has been so polite to me.
Yes.
All right.
I don't know anything about maps either, but
I was going to say, because there's not really geography. I think just roll an education.
I got a 3 under 75, a critical success.
Well, extreme success. So
Extreme success,
but
sorry.
still, yes. So you immediately realize two things. One, you are further away from the kind of, so this little country road. It heads eventually down into Coldwater Falls. But you one of the first things you did was pass by the little branch that leads up to the top of the hill. So it's going to require some backtracking or actually to go down into Coldwater Falls and out the other side and then back up. So yes, you have been moving sort of in the wrong direction for a bit. But you are confident that you could either spend a couple of hours backtracking to get up to the manor the original way, back very close to the car, or probably another 30 minutes to get into the little hamlet. And it's probably about 45 minutes to an hour from dark.
I will present the options.
Don't be ridiculous. We were going in the right direction.
Well, of course, yes, but now we're here, which is wrong. So either we can head into the hamlet, or we can spend a couple hours, which will lead us after dark, to go the opposite way of which we are traveling, to turn down the correct road. I'm sure we just missed it, is all. All the roads look the same, too. What do you think, Dr. Wells?
What is a wrong turn but another journey we have yet come?
Well put, Dr. Wells. Let's go to the hamlet and call.
Yes.
I'm
Well,
sure we can.
let's call a mechanic from the hamlet, and then we can call up the house and wander up there ourselves.
All right.
Perfect.
Sort of the 30 minutes or so, only having to consult the map one time, you rather dustily stumble into the quaint, I suppose, ever so slightly ramshackle riverside hamlet of Coldwater Falls. There really isn't actually like a huge waterfall, but there are a series of smaller kind of steps. It's I suppose somewhat picturesque, but something in this hollow. It's by the time you descend into the little hamlet, it's quite dark. There are relatively tall hills on either side that seem to block a lot of light, and it is probably 10 degrees cooler here. It's a little dim. It's a little grimy.
Is
But-
there a general store?
But yes, there is, in fact. There is a general store. There is a church. There is a sheriff's office. Those are the things that you can see. There's a dentist, which is kind of unusual for a hamlet this small. Just from what you can see, buildings that have signs on the outside.
Does the hamlet look electrified yet?
I would say probably the general store. Just the quality of the light coming out of it seems to carry that newfangled glow to it. But many of the other buildings have that warmer kind of flickering light of gas lamps.
In that case, I shall head towards the general store and ask if there's a phone there.
Well, you make your way into the general store. There is, in fact, to one side is what passes for a post office. And then to the other side is, I think, what you would call a rural store. So there are just a mixture of things, housewares, some clothing, some agricultural implements. You get a smell of like seed and feed, and I suppose it's relatively pleasant, if a little grimy. The post office does not appear to be manned, but the general store does appear to be open.
Good evening.
A woman with a kerchief covering what you think is probably blonde ringlets or curls, but like blonde shot through with silver. She's probably in her early middle age. Kind of comes quickly around a corner holding a broom. looks at
Terribly
you
sorry.
suspiciously. Yes?
Terribly sorry to bother you. We've had a small breakdown, and I was wondering if we could use your phone.
Phone's at the post office. Post office closed.
I see. Might you know when the post office will open again?
Well, tomorrow's Saturday.
Quite.
Where are you
I
from?
can't. Oh, well, where aren't we from? I was born in Great Milton, but I think of myself as a child of the world.
Didn't understand a word of that. What are you doing here?
Oh, we were invited. We're going up to Coldwater Falls. There's a house
That's where you
there.
are.
Yes, my friend owns a small estate. Charles Cavendish.
Oh, I see. What are you doing down here?
Well, like I said, I needed to use the phone, and
Well,
I
surely
don't
they
suppose
got
you
a
could.
phone up there on the hill. Why come all the way down here to use a phone?
Well,
Uh,
you see, we got a bit turned around after the car broke down. And this was a bit closer since it's after dark and all.
may I
Yes.
introduce Eloise?
She'll kind of brush her hand off on an apron and walk over to Eloise and actually stick out her hand, which is a little odd.
I will shake her hand.
She grabs it and she holds on a little bit longer than perhaps she needs to. Her hand is strong and rough, cool. And she just affixes you with her eyes in a very evaluative way. All right. And who are you? Looking at Dr. Wells.
I am the esteemed Dr. Etta Wells at your service.
She sort of,
Dr. Wells is quite renowned. She's doing a series of lectures up at the university.
well, isn't that all fine and fancy? Well, I'm sorry, there's no way of getting to the phone now. It's locked up in the post office. So I suppose it's either walk up to the hill at night on your own, or I'm sure someone could find a place to put you up. We're not a large town, but we sometimes do have visitors, men traveling the roads who need to stay overnight, unfortunate such as yourselves who run into trouble. Used to be, back in the day, a horse would throw its shoe or something and the blacksmith would fix it. But of course now we have all these infernal machines tearing ruts in the roads and blowing through town at all hours of day and night. So what's it to
Yes,
be?
dreadful machines.
What's it to be?
Well, I'm
Gonna walk? Or are you going to want someone to
sure.
stay?
I'm sure they would understand if we arrived tomorrow instead of tonight. Due to our
How
troubles, if we'd like to stay here.
how far is the trip?
During the day? Good weather? I suppose walking an hour. 45 if you're spry.
Well, that's not so bad. We might buy a paraffin lamp and walk up ourselves. We'd be get there, couple of hours after. Well, we'll be a bit late, but I'm sure Charles won't mind too much.
Well, it's your funeral. Do you need a lamp?
Why? A bit of cold evening air has never hurt anyone, now has it?
Bunch of city folks walking around in the dark, stumbling on things, falling down, cracking their heads open, running off cliffs. You name it. There's all sorts of terrible things that can happen to you. But it's no bother to me. So do you want a lamp? Here. She'll just go dig around somewhere. You hear some clattering, and she'll come back with a lamp. Set it up on the counter. And you may pay for it because you have the credit rating such that this is incidental expense to you.
Misha, do you want to stay here or go?
I think Eloise had said, let's stay here, because obviously she was treated a little more warmly by this lady. But also, she's just going to do what you say, I think, because she's very agreeable. So if Sir Reginald's just like, we're walking, it's no problem at all. I've been in the jungle. She'll be like, oh, okay, the jungle's very nice.
Dr. Wells?
Brisk walk shouldn't hurt the old soul.
In that case, I shall pay for the lamp. I shall slap down several handfuls of notes and pick up the lamp and wander out.
She literally doesn't know what to do.
That's so much money.
A wad of cash. I think she will look to Eloise. Like for some sort
Eloise is like an apologetic, he's just like this look to her.
All
like,
right.
British. Somehow communicating British, am I right?
Okay. Well, I think then she is going to she'll just say, wait 1 second. And she will come back and hand you a little box. It's a very rough box. It probably held soap or something, so like cardboard. But probably has been used to store something else. Like you can tell it's frayed at the edges. It's got a few little oil stains on it. Well, I don't like taking money for nothing here. Something to see you safe on your way. Got a man like that leading you around, never know where he might wind up.
Oh, thank you. What can I tell what it is just by looking at the box, or would I have to open it?
I think it really is. It's some sort of, whatever, like medicinal powders or scented sachets or some sort of like woman home good from the 20s thing is what the box says. But the immediate impression that you get when you pick it up is that it has been reused a bunch.
Oh, so it's like the cookie tins.
Yeah.
But it's full of sewing supplies. Okay. One of these. All right. I'm just going to give it a little peek, see what's in there.
It is a little doll. Like very small. Like maybe 3 inches. It is made primarily of twigs. Although it does have a bit of a probably like potato sack little dress on. And it has a button for a face.
Would I recognize why this would be handy in this situation?
You can make it a cult roll.
Cult roll. Ah, yes. I got a 97. I have a 5 and a cult.
You have no idea, but she seems to want you to have
clue. she does seem for me to want me to have it. So I will just smile and nod and say, "Oh, thank you so much," and close the box and tuck it into my bag that I've been lugging around for hours, ready to go on our next hour-long journey if it was sunny and nice.
Yes. Very well. So, what happens?
Oh, it's so nice of her to give you a little friend.
Yes, as we're walking out for your family, I have no idea what this is. Some sort of good luck charm?
I think
Probably. Maybe we'll.
your education is probably high enough to realize that there's all sorts of little local customs like that. Corn dollies and the barn paintings with the stars. There's all sorts of old world practices that have made their way into kind of folk superstition. It's not that uncommon, especially not in this part of the world for reasons.
And of course, using dolls and different stuffed creatures is definitely a way of treating psychiatrist stuff. Because everybody needs a friend.
It is true. Everyone does need a friend.
Okay.
Anyway, we're following Sir Reginald, who won't get us lost this time.
So Sir Reginald has the paraffin lamp.
I have the lamp, but not the map.
Right. So I will say that Sir Reginald takes off very, very confidently in one direction, and then it was Eloise is required to point out to him that he actually needs to go in the opposite direction through town to look for the nearest. There's a small bridge over this. It's not even really a river. And then immediately past that, to the left, is a road that will go kind of up the hill to where I think it's dark. You probably can see, especially as you leave the little hamlet itself, and can get a look up to these, like, kind of all these hills. You eventually orient yourself, and you do think that you can see perhaps some light near the peak of one of them. So, with Eloise's reminder and Sir Reggie's leadership, I think I really want to make Sir Reggie give us a survival. But I will say you get a bonus die because of Eloise in the map.
That will be 79 over 10.
Even with a bonus die.
Even with a bonus die.
Would you like to spend 69 luck?
It is possible I don't have that amount of luck.
Okay. Well,
But I
Sir
would
Reggie.
like to,
Go ahead.
could I push the roll,
Yes, you
though?
certainly may. Just recall that the failure of if you fail on a push, there will be much more substantial negative consequences.
Maybe not. I don't think I'm going to get much over 10. Under 10 even.
Oh, it's entirely possible. You would still have the bonus die. It's like rolling twice more.
I'll take the failure, thanks.
All right. We'll tick it for improvement later. Well, maybe it's because this isn't the jungles of Borneo or the steppes of Mongolia or wherever else it is you claim to have been. It's just a simple straight road. But I think Mr. Reggie, you do find yourself a bit turned about. I think you quite confidently believe that there is a turnoff and that it is absolutely the right way to go. And you lead Dr. Wells and Eloise traipsing through the woods to a lovely clearing, only to realize that while this may actually have been a little road to some sort of homestead, it has long since fallen apart or burned down or something. And then perhaps it takes a little bit longer now that you're in the woods to find your way back out. So I'm going to say it takes a good couple of hours. It is now well into the evening by the time you eventually get up high enough that you can see through the trees, the lights glowing through the windows of the Cavendish Manor. It is 3 stories, stone. It is set back in a bit of a lawn. So while it is surrounded, at least really on 3 sides, by trees, it is tall enough and there are enough windows that you can eventually kind of use that as your North Star. I'm going to say come traipsing through the woods themselves because it was too much trouble to actually find the driveway. And yes, it is a bedraggled Eloise, Dr. Wells, and Sir Reggie. Sticks and leaves in your hair, dust all over you, as you've been hauling and dragging your bags for miles. But eventually, late in the evening, you arrive. What happens?
Are there any cars outside from other guests, perhaps?
No. There are a number of outbuildings. This is not by any means a working estate, although it may at one point have been. You could spot hidden.
Sure, I'll give that a go. Missed it by 2.
You could spend 2 luck. You don't have to.
I shall.
Or you could
I
push it.
shall.
Or you could, yeah. All right, so you're going to spend 2 luck. So as you're looking around, you can tell there's a stables. You can probably hear the whickering of horses. But you also can tell that in this well-raked kind of gravel area, you do see a number of dark splotches from oil. And you can kind of just, without investigating too specifically, you can kind of see that there's a bit of a track that goes off to another one of these outbuildings that probably at one point was a barn or something to store implements. But just on the basis of the fact that there's oil and things on the ground near it, that's probably where they store their vehicles. Or at least one vehicle.
Okay. Dr. Wells, as you are the person with the invitation, perhaps you ought to ring the doorbell.
I shall do so.
You do. It's a moment. And then you hear kind of heavy, swiftly moving footfalls on the floor. And then the door kind of pops open a good 4 inches and you see a rather tall man. You're going to think in his early 40s. Brill creamed back hair, a bit of a widow's peak, wearing not quite a tuxedo, but actually very well dressed. Looks very suspiciously and expectantly at you. And then his eyes narrow as he sees the condition of all of you. Yes?
Dr. Etta Wells here. I've been invited, and she'll hold up the letter. we've seemed to got turned around a little while
Oh,
we were
Dr.
here.
Wells. His demeanor changes entirely. He becomes very obsequious. Oh, Dr. Wells, yes. Oh, you must tell us all about it. It's so unfortunate. We were terribly, terribly worried. Yes. Oh, do come in, do come in. And who are your friends? He says,
Oh,
somewhat
this is
uncertain.
uh Eloise, a dear friend, and Sir Reginald, our knight in shining armor, if you will.
Oh, Sir Reginald, I see. Well, welcome. Come in, come in.
Yes, terribly brisk night, isn't it?
Oh, whatever you say. Please deposit your things here. I'll have someone take care of them. Help yourself into the parlor for refreshments. I'll send a girl out with something, and if you don't mind, I'll go and let the master of the house know that you're here. Oh, I'm Mr. Wise, and he'll reach his hand out to shake Dr. Wells.
She shall shake his hand.
He very briefly, kind of delicately, just like gives it one little shake, and then just a moment. He will lead you into a lovely parlor. It is well appointed. There is a single gas lamp on, but there is a fireplace that looks like it has recently been lit. It's that time of year where it's probably a little bit too warm, but in a big old house like this, that's, the stone takes a long, long time to get warm. So a fire, even this late into spring, in the evenings at least, probably doesn't go afoul. And there's lots and lots of books. It's not what you would call necessarily a grand library, but it does appear to be quite well stocked.
I'm going to pull a twig out of my hair and throw it into the fireplace.
It pops.
Yes, I think I'll also probably stand by the fire and try not to do the thing where you collapse immediately into a chair after walking for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm feeling like perhaps I'm a little dirty and maybe I might not get up if I sit down. We'll see.
Smart.
Maybe take a look at these books. What's going on in this library? Is it
Sure.
interesting?
Sure, you want a spot hidden?
Yeah. Oh, I am far too cold for this, as I got 74 over 69.
Okay, well, you don't notice anything unusual, but go ahead and make an education roll.
For this one, I got a 10 under 75, so a
Extreme, I think, right?
one. Yes, extreme success.
Yes, you recognize a number of things. One, it is an eclectic collection. There are some of the classics, Apuleius, Cicero. You also see there is a selection of, I think, books that wouldn't have been completely out of line in your study and your field of work. So books on the diagnosis and treatment of disease, books on biology and physiognomy. There are books on astronomy and history and geography. It seems to be sort of an eclectic man of leisure's study, for all intents and purposes. One who is quite well read. Dr. Wells, would you like to spot hidden for me?
Okay.
So I think this might be something that falls to your eye.
Which item is hidden?
Pardon?
Or like what do I look for?
Oh,
Like,
it's spot hidden, so it's
Yes.
in the third column
oh,
midway down.
Between sleight of hand and stealth. You're quite observant. You have a 75.
so it'd be a 60 and a 0, so that's 60 under 75.
Yeah, so a regular success. I will say you notice there is a relatively small section of books on psychology. Like you recognize a few of the titles. It just attracts your eye because these are titles that you're familiar with. And you notice there is a 3-volume work on the interpretation of dreams. And perhaps the reason that it catches your eye is that the second volume is missing. So the entire library is quite well organized, although it's rather eclectic. It's not quite apparent that there is a particular order, but subjects are grouped, authors are grouped, and obviously books in multiple volumes are grouped together. And it's quite obvious that there is a gap in that particular shelf for the second volume of Dream Interpretation.
I wonder if they took it to bed with them.
I think at about this point, the door will open, unless you want more time to examine and snoop around. The door will open, and a slightly unsuitable woman. The manservant will open the door, and then a woman will come in. She's dressed maybe a bit like she's going out for the evening. Just a little bit. Like there's just something a bit, certainly to Dr. Wells and Eloise, it's she's somewhat overdressed. Unless there are other guests here that you don't know about. She's wearing a bit much jewelry. Her hair is a bit overset. It's in a style that was probably popular 7 or 8 years ago. So she's not quite, it's a strange thing. She's like trying to be fashionable, but maybe a little bit over the top, but also there's parts of her appearance that are a little anachronistic, or at least certainly not what you would see in the fashion magazines. There's just something off about her general demeanor. And she will come in and kind of look across at all of you and say, "Oh, Dr. Wells." And she will come to Sir Reggie. "So good of you to attend us. We were very worried when you didn't arrive at the appointed time. And are these your assistants?"
My name is Sir Reginald Keaton, and I am an explorer of great renown.
"Oh, my apologies. I thought we were expecting Dr. Wells, the esteemed alienist."
My companion here is Dr. Wells. She is, of course, a great alienist. She's been giving a series of lectures at the university and has a prestigious field of study before that.
"Oh, I see. Well, aren't I
And
embarrassed?"
may I introduce Eloise, who is quite possibly the greatest nurse of her age?
"Oh, of course, Miss Eloise. And Dr. Wells, I do apologize. I'm sure you get that a lot."
Yes, it's a common mistake.
She looks from Sir Reggie to Dr. Wells to Eloise in a way that suggests that she's thinking some stuff. Which
What's she thinking about?
Can feel free to ignore if you would like.
What do we roll to think?
That would
learn
be
about what they're-
psychology.
Psychology, you say?
Almost
I'd love
like
to roll
2
psychology.
of you are pretty good at that.
I'd also like to read psychology.
You certainly can. For reference, psychology is like getting a read on people, figuring people out. Psychoanalysis is more like the therapy part of it. It typically takes a bit longer to actually accomplish something with psychoanalysis, but psychology can be used very well to try to get inside someone's head. So Eloise,
I got 90 over 40.
who knows? She seems vaguely embarrassed. And maybe like she's not
I
entirely,
think so.
she's still not entirely sure which of you is the doctor and which of you is the nurse. Dr. Wells, whose literal job is psychology, how did you do?
I got a 57 under 75.
See?
Yay!
Yeah. There is an appraising look when she looks at you and Eloise. And you're both a little younger than she is. Both maybe a little prettier than she is. There's a immediate feeling that she is not happy about having two younger, prettier women in the house. It's not that unusual. So I think you formulate a deduction that she's perhaps a bit jealous.
Would you mind calling back to my role earlier when I was investigating the Cavendishes? Does Charles have a reputation as a philanderer in any way?
Not at all. His reputation was that of a devoted husband and father. A little stodgy, frankly. Kept himself. If anything, his marriage to Drusilla was the only whiff of scandal.
And of course, he employs a butler who shakes people's hands. Terrible.
Yes. I think you can... Oh, what would it be? Go ahead and give me another credit rating.
That would be 20, which would be a hard success.
That butler is utterly unsuitable. The amount of eye contact, the fact that he shook someone's hand, his overall demeanor, just the way that he kind of like took charge of people and told people what to do. Like, you've been around people who have help here in the States. There's something off about him. He's clearly above his station. Or at least has airs above his station.
Just a shot in the dark, but does he look like he might be related to Drusilla?
Oh. Interesting. Go ahead and just give me... What would that be?
Natural world? I'm quite good at that.
Yeah. Biology? I think spot hidden is fine. Unless you can think of something else. A natural world, that's mostly animals and stuff, but it's possible. Yeah, go ahead.
Failure, I'm afraid.
Hard to tell. As you're looking at them, it's clear that her hair is treated. So it's difficult to know for sure. I would say you can't rule it out, but if they were closely related, it would be unusual because they don't look enough alike to like make it obvious that they're like, say, brother and sister or something. They could be cousins. Who knows? So what happens? Or I should say, what do you all do and or say?
We were rather charmed to receive your invitation, weren't we, Eloise?
Oh, yes, indeed. Looking forward to hearing so much more. Sorry about being so late. We ran into some car trouble and then managed to lose our way a couple of times, but we were fortunate to receive some directions at the nearby hamlet to hear.
Oh,
Um,
Yes. The people at
so
the hamlet were so homely.
that's one word for it. I'm so sorry you had to spend time down there. They're absolute horrors. I mean, everything they say about living in the country is absolutely true. I keep telling Charles that we absolutely must get ourselves a townhouse. Every time I go by, I think they're going to rush out with torches and pitchforks or something even worse. They're all so inbred and superstitious. Strange lot. Sometimes I think that they come up here and spy on us.
Most improper. Oh, does Charles have attachment to this house in particular?
Oh, well, it's been in his family forever. Well, our family. Forever, apparently.
A
Yes.
storied history, I'm sure.
So you had a car difficulty. Well, Eamon, Mr. Wise can help with that. He's a fantastic mechanic. He keeps our old jalopy up and running.
Oh, that would be wonderful, thank you. We just had a tire blowout. All we need is a quick repair so that we can
Oh,
get
I'm
to
sure he can manage that. He's a man of many talents.
Wonderful.
And she'll kind of go and open the door. Eamon. And then the manservant that you met will come back. And she'll explain to him that you had car difficulties and that he should go and fix it tomorrow, obviously. And he will, I think you kind of catch him narrowing his gaze a little bit at the suggestion that he should go and play repairman. Like you can kind of see as she's talking about that, he's like just reflexively, picks at a piece of lint on his extremely fine suit coat, kind of brushes and smooths the gloves that he's wearing, and then we'll say, "Very well, madam," and then we'll stalk off.
I can't thank you enough. If there is any way that I could repay you the favor, I would be delighted to.
Well, that is why you're here, isn't it? Well, sorry, Dr. Wells. The actual Dr. Wells. That is why you're here, isn't it? To help us?
Oh, yes, of course. I must lend my services wherever it is needed.
Yes. Well, you see, it's Charlie. He is back from school. And, well, he was never quite right as a child. The death of his mother came at an unfortunate time, and perhaps he never quite recovered or never quite got over it. I mean, Lord knows I tried to step in and be the mother that he needed and provide the firm hand that, frankly, his father would not. It never seemed to warm to me. And now I think perhaps he's a bit disturbed. He's been having dreams, terrors really, waking us all up with his screaming. Sometimes we find him not even in his bedroom. Why, just the other night we found him in the courtyard, all scratched to bits, probably from scrabbling around in the brambles or something. Well, I thought about calling the officials or something, and then reading in the paper that we had a esteemed alienist visiting, I thought that it might be good to seek a private consultation. We wouldn't want it getting out that the heir to the Cavendish family fortune was perhaps, a little soft in the head.
Yes, of course. I completely understand.
Yes, well. And you too understand that this is a thing to be kept quiet. Now,
Oh, yes, of course.
Charles, my husband, doesn't really believe anything's wrong. But I was able to convince him that we should at least have someone come and check things out. He will be hard to convince that young Charlie is, well, anything but perfect. So what I will need is for you to make an examination. Do whatever it is that you do. Find out what's really wrong with him, define it, provide evidence that perhaps young Charlie requires treatment in a more controlled environment. I mean, I can't very well have him wandering around here, disturbing. I mean, my poor daughter is terrified now. He tells the most terrifying stories about these strange things that he sees in his sleep. I certainly can't have her infected by whatever madness it is that he's experiencing.
Of course. That would be
We would be
quite
delighted.
dreadful.
Would it be psychoanalyzed again to, I'm sorry,
Psychology
to figure out if like she's actually doing this because she's worried about Charlie, or is she doing this because she's like, this is the heir and if I get rid of him?
Yeah, I'll give you
No problem.
I'll give you a bonus die because she ain't subtle. But yes, it's
Okay.
psychology.
Well, many things fly over my head with a 55 out of over 40.
Even with the bonus die?
Even with the bonus die, I rolled a 9 for the first time.
If only there was
90,
someone
so.
else who was really good at reading people.
Yeah. If only.
I can roll psychology.
With a bonus die.
Okay.
Eloise is thinking too much about how she gets to keep a secret now. It's going to be super exciting.
Oh, yeah.
So what does the bonus die do?
It means you can re-roll the tens die and take the lowest. So like if you got
Okay.
a 64, then you rolled it again and got a 3, it'd be 34. Where'd you get there?
So at first it was a 75, but now it's a 65
Cool.
under 75.
Excellent. Excellent. So, I mean, not an awesome roll, but well within your, yeah, she's 100% scheming. There is, and she's actively trying to convince you vaguely, subtly, that Charlie has been disturbed for years, that he's not safe for her poor little daughter to be around. She's just, nothing super duper overt, but she's clearly trying to influence you to believe that this is a person who's going crazy and who needs to be institutionalized. Although she would never say that, obviously. She's just a poor, concerned stepmother. But, yeah. Well, and then, of course, there's Abigail. She's... I mean, there's no helping her. Not that she's having any of the same problems. I mean, I think we're mostly concerned about Charlie, that he might harm himself or someone else due to these strange dreams or whatever it is he's having. But Abigail's no help whatsoever. Just sits there in her room or plays around in her father's dusty old collection of knickknacks and oddities. Can't practically get her out of the house. We were very relieved when Charlie went off to college, but then now he's back, and apparently that didn't help. Yes. Nurse?
Is Abigail your other step?
Yes, my husband's daughter.
Yes.
Other daughter.
Who all is in your family again? Who's living in the house? Just so we have a clear understanding of
Well,
who Charlie is interacting with.
yes, well, there's Charles, and then Mr. Wise, Eamon, who you met. There's Miss Finch, who kind of, cooks and cleans and things. There used to be another one, but, I forget, I think she got married or something. And of course, Charlie, who doesn't live here, he is supposed to be in Providence, but apparently there's some sort of, I don't know, break or something from their school, and he came back to visit. And that's when we discovered how terribly things had gone wrong. I mean, like I said, he was never necessarily the most stable person as a child, but we thought that, going out on his own and going to university, things would get better, and apparently they only got worse. Now, Abigail has never left the house, but she is the apple of her father's eye. Very much like him, bookish, likes fiddling around with dusty old things. Apparently worth lots of money, but I mean, it's hard to spend old books and parchments and strange sculptures and things now, isn't it?
It certainly is. And you mentioned that you have a daughter?
Oh, yes. My dear, this is the narrator rapidly clicking through to remember what her name is. Oh, yes, my dear daughter. She's the best. She just lights up this entire place.
A delightful angel, one might say. Just
absolute angel. Absolutely nothing wrong with her whatsoever under any circumstances. I mean,
getting terrified by Charlie.
Oh, except, of course, for the fact that, her, I suppose, brother, Lucille, is my daughter. Just absolute the best thing that's happened to this family in generations. So talented and so bright, unlike her brother and sister who are a bit dour. Why, if you had arrived earlier, I would have set up a time for her to do a recital for you. She's quite the pianist and singer.
Oh, that would have been lovely.
Yes. Well, perhaps we'll have to have
some
some entertainment
our
tomorrow.
way in time.
Yes, well, if only you hadn't gotten lost. Well, perhaps for tomorrow we'll set up some entertainment. I'm always so pleased to show her off. I think she's probably going to become a film star or something.
We'd be charmed.
Guess well. Well, I don't know how you proceed with this. You're the professional. Do you need to, examine him?
Yes. Is there a time tonight to examine him? Perhaps as he sleeps, if he is sleepwalking, of course, that'd be something we could observe in the evening. But if you would prefer to wait until the morning, we can.
Well, I would prefer that this be taken care of as quickly as possible, so I don't have so much to worry about.
Drusilla,
yes.
these medical
Mrs. Cavendish.
My apologies, Mrs. Cavendish. These medical examinations are usually kept private. You know how it is. I was wondering if perhaps you could take me and introduce me to Abigail so that I could take care of that problem while the ladies meet with Charlie.
Take care of it how? She seems intrigued.
Oh, a good chat about exploring the world, seeing what life is like. Get her out of the house.
Oh, well, I mean, I suppose it's worth a try. Sure, I suppose. I mean, I can't very well have you. Well, you're an honorable man, right? You're a sir.
I would be delighted if you would chaperone us.
Oh, I have things to do. I have to reset my hair. But fine, I'll bring you to one of the laboratories or something. I'm sure she'll have no difficulty showing you all the strange things that she does. All right, well, actually, Eamon, will you take Sir, what's his name, to one of the laboratories and then go get Abigail and have her go entertain him or whatever? Yes, of course, madam. He will lead you off. Actually, instead of going up the grand kind of double staircase near the entrance, he will actually lead you down a hallway kind of over to a secondary staircase going up. This is a C-shaped building with front and two wings. So this is like kind of not quite to the point where what would be the west wing bends back, but close to it. So it's a fair walk. He actually leads you up to second story, and then down. You go past probably like 5 or 6 different rooms. He's not waiting for you. You're probably a little bit turned around. But he will open a door and lead you into what does appear to be some sort of laboratory. There are strange samples of things, but mostly like mineral, vegetable. You recognize enough to see like, oh, there's a broken piece of statuary. There's kind of maybe a bit of a broken clay tablet. There are some pieces of papyrus, some jars and potsherds. It's archaeological in nature rather than like biological or chemical. Although there is a smell. And you do see a variety of jars and containers that are holding some sort of liquid. You're not quite sure what goes on in here, but it's not like it's a medical laboratory. So you're being led off to that. What are Eloise and Dr. Wells doing?
Is she still here in the room with us, I assume?
Sure.
Or did she wander off as well?
She asked Mr. Wise to take Sir Reggie off.
Well, I'll leave it to Dr. Wells, but if we could be introduced to Charlie and maybe observe his sleep patterns.
Yes, that seems wise. All right, he's probably up in his room. I suppose I had better take you. Well, come along. She, however, will sweep you up the grand staircase. And in a different direction, in the opposite direction. So that would be west, east, west. I don't know. Whichever the other direction is. And will take you through. The house, by the way, is very well appointed. It's the kind of thing where it's old. And so like it's quite obvious there are areas of like damp where a window doesn't quite fit perfectly in the sill, and you can hear creaking and you can feel the floor kind of warp and bend a bit underneath your feet, like it's not perfectly level. But if you don't look too close, it's actually quite luxurious and reasonably clean. It's well kept. It's just old. And she sweeps you along and then walks up to a kind of grand dark oak door and pounds on it. Charlie, some people are here to see you. And you hear a little bit of a kind of a groggy, huh? Don't talk back to me. And then she jiggles the door. Now you unlock this door immediately. This is not how we behave with guests. And she's still shaking the door. And eventually you hear the lock turn on the other side. You know I have to lock the door or else it swings open. What do you want? And then he looks at both of you. This is a handsome, kind of blondish, light brown blondish, maybe hair a little bit longer than it needs to be. Tall, lanky, athletic young man wearing a sweater and just like some relatively casual pants. You can see the room behind him is, I mean, it's formal, but just in the glance that you get, there's a desk and there's some bookshelves and there's a bed, and it all, like, the desk is clearly more sized for a child. The bed is also not quite large. I mean, he's probably over 6 feet. So it does give you the idea very much of someone who, like, would have been in this room when they were in their teens and is now nearly an adult. There's just a little bit of a mismatch. The room is slightly disheveled, like the bed isn't made. But there's nothing that strikes you immediately without a spot hidden or anything as being out of place. He does look a little bleary, though. Well, what's going on? Who are you?
Good evening, Mr. Charlie. My name is Dr. Etta Wells, and this is my associate, Nurse Eloise, and we are here to examine you. So, may we come in and just have a little conversation?
Go ahead and give me a persuade. Or a charm. Or if you plan to bust in the room and dose him up with something and haul him off to an asylum, then I think that's going to have to take a fast talk. But I think you're mostly just trying to be persuasive and comforting.
You're persuasive. And if the line was on the other side, it would have been 69, but it's 66, under 70.
Okay, well, he looks at you, and then he looks at Drusilla, who's just kind of standing there with her arms crossed, with a little bit of a smirk on her face, but then looks back at you and kind of gets the sense that maybe you guys are serious. Fine. Excuse the mess. Don't you have somewhere to be, Drew? And she just, see what I'm talking about? He's clearly, well, do what you need to do. And then you hear her heels clatter off. Here, and then he'll go and like grab a chair out from the desk and kind of pull it over next to, there's like one relatively nice high back chair, and he'll kind of arrange it so that you guys have somewhere to sit, and then he'll kind of look around and I guess just like sit on his bed, maybe absently like try to brush the bedspread a little bit so it's not quite so obvious. So you're a doctor and a nurse?
Yes.
Okay.
So you're on a first name basis with your stepmother now, is it?
I mean, she was our housemaid before. It's a hard habit to break sometimes.
I understand.
But I'm just real tired, and probably shouldn't have said that. I mean, she's my mother now, I guess. But I don't know. I apologize for my rudeness. I'm obviously Charles Cavendish the fourth. Have you met my dad?
Not yet.
Oh.
We did arrive rather late this evening, so
Oh yeah, I heard
it's
that.
understandable.
I heard that Mr. Y is going off and doing something. So, well, I guess you're here because of whatever it is wrong with me, right?
Yes, we are here to understand a little bit more about you.
That sounds real strange. Well, I don't know. I've just been real tired, and I mean, I feel like I want to sleep all the time, but then when I do sleep, it feels like I didn't sleep at all. And then I never really was a sleepwalker, but a couple of times I've woken up and I've been somewhere probably shouldn't have been. So I don't know. I mean, I'm fit as a fiddle. Otherwise, I haven't had any issues or injuries or illnesses or anything like that. I just I don't know, and it doesn't feel like there's anything particular going on. I mean, I'm about to graduate. Got to figure out what's going on with my life and what I'm going to do. I mean, I kind of want to drive cars. But my dad says that's not a fit profession and it's dangerous and all that kind of stuff. But so, I mean, it's not that I don't have any troubles. It's just that I don't have any troubles that would explain just why I haven't been able to sleep.
Well, have you been experiencing any large amounts of stress recently?
Oh, that's just what I was saying. No, not really. I mean, it's always tough to come back here.
Why would you
When
say
did
that?
you? Oh, go ahead. Why did you say that? I believe the doctor asked before I spoke over her.
Oh, why did I say? Why did I say
that it's hard to come back here?
Oh, well, just because. I mean, it's always hard to, when you're a grown man, to go back and be in the room that you were in as a kid, and it's just not comfortable. But nothing unusual. I mean, my stepmother's real unusual, but other than that.
Yes, how would you say your relationship to your stepmother is?
Well, I don't think she likes me much. I don't think I like her much. Look, she makes my dad happy. That's all that matters. I mean, it's his time, it's his life, it's his money that he spends on all her furs and jewelry and stuff. And if that's what it takes to make him happy, that's good. I just, look, it's hard when you lose your mom. And my mom was an amazing woman. And Drusilla's just different. And I guess I'm never going to be able to see her in the same light. And I was 12 when my mom died. I was 13 when they got married. It wasn't like she was ever around when I really needed a mom. So, anyway.
Back to the sleep problems. When did that start happening?
I think I've been back here a night or two.
So it's just started when you got here, not when you were at school.
I mean, as far as I know.
Like you weren't extremely tired at school?
I was a little tired, but we had just finished finals.
Like the normal amount of school tired?
Yeah. That's kind of what I thought was going on. But now, well, maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just a whole bunch of people making a bunch of ruckus over nothing. Maybe it's Drusilla feeling like she has something to be dramatic about. I don't know. She certainly didn't talk to me before she called in a bunch of doctors and nurses and stuff.
Oh, I'm sure she's just concerned for your well-being, says the person who did not make the psychology roll.
Yeah, I'm sure that's it.
For one of the places that you ended up in, you were a little scratched up. Are there any other
Oh yeah.
physical injuries?
And
Yeah,
he'll
do you mind if I?
he'll kind of like lift up the side of or one edge of his sweater and kind of show he's got some scrapes along his side. Apparently I went outside and like walked through some bushes or something.
Can I analyze these scratches to see if that tracks?
Yes, you certainly may.
Okay. What should I use?
Oh, well, you could do natural world. You could maybe do like a hard medicine.
Now, let's do a hard medicine. That's better than natural world. I've seen a lot of stab wounds recently, to be honest. So a hard medicine, I got a 10.
Ooh.
So normally my medicine's 77. So a hard success was the under 38. So yes.
Yes, and almost a hard success on a hard success, but not quite.
Almost, not quite.
Yeah. So I will say you probably well, you're a nurse, right? So you probably just
I'm
like
a nurse.
lift
I'm
up.
allowed.
Yeah, you lift up his sweater a little bit and maybe turn him around. There are a number of superficial scrapes that, it's kind of hard to tell. But you can tell something about the pattern. He has had, it's almost like he's had like a rough rope or something wrapped around him, because there's a little bit of a twisting pattern around his midsection for these abrasions. There are some additional incidental kind of like scrapes that don't fit that pattern, but there's a general kind of maybe 5 or 6 inch wide series of scrapes that seem to work themselves in a circle or a spiral around his midsection. That strikes you as odd.
All right. I'll kind of make a medical noise, but not elaborate any further. Because he doesn't need to know. Probably.
Well, what is it, Doc?
Asleep. Oh, your scrapes are just in an interesting pattern, actually.
Huh.
Yeah.
What do you think that means?
I'm not sure, but we can probably ask around to see if anyone saw exactly where you had been while sleepwalking. And it's just really been the past couple of nights when you've gotten here.
Well, I've been home for not quite 2 weeks.
Not quite 2 weeks, but basically since you've gotten.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't notice it
to
at
the
first.
house. Okay.
But then, well, Drusilla kept making all this noise about me looking like I'm dead, and making all kinds of stuff about how I was making noise in my room at night and how I need to keep that down, and how it was upsetting everyone's sleep. And I don't know. I thought she was just, trying to make me feel unwelcome. But then I did sleepwalk a couple times. I guess. So maybe there is something wrong with me. Well, what do you think, Doc? All right. So what kind of doctor are you anyway? Looking at you, Dr. Wells.
A doctor of the mind.
Oh, okay. Well, pretty sure I'm not crazy, Doc. I mean, not to tell you your business, but I'm not sure what's going on, but I mean, look at me. Sitting here having a conversation with you, I'm fine. I could use some sleep though. Hey, do you maybe have like any tinctures or any of that stuff? Anything medicinal might help me?
I have a lot of medicinal things. Would you like something?
I
to
think
help with
so.
your
Maybe
sleep?
maybe that's what I need. I just need some medicine to help me like get a night or two of really good sleep, and then I'll be right as
Well,
rain.
certainly. Before you go to sleep, would you have any objection if the doctor and I were to maybe sit outside your room just in case you started walking and then observe if you do leave the
Oh,
area?
sure.
Perfect. I'm sure that would be an excellent data point for Dr. Wells. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, that is quite correct.
Perfect. Well, I have the perfect sleeping tincture right here. It'll knock you right out.
It's heroin. Yeah.
Yes, as always.
So he will say, well, okay, so my door's a little bit weird. If I don't latch it, it'll swing open. So here, take a key. I'm gonna latch it on my side so it doesn't pop open. But you can, like, if I don't know, like if you hear me rumbling around or like I'm getting up or like I don't know, like I'm climbing out the window or something, you need to come in. Just because they say don't wake a sleepwalker. Is that right? Is that right, Doc? You're not supposed to wake up sleepwalkers, or is
Yes,
that just a
that is
myth?
correct.
Oh, so that's real? Okay, well then don't wake me
Yes,
up.
you don't want to disturb their cycle. It's a whole process.
All right. Well, I'll trust you. Okay, cool. Well, here's the thing. Do y'all have a place to stay? I mean, did she remember to set you up with rooms and stuff?
No.
Oh, jeez. So he'll pull on some shoes. Well, come with me. So he will actually take you back down the stairs, kind of back towards the kitchen. He will introduce you to Miss Finch. Miss Finch is probably in her mid-30s, a little matronly, but seems to be very, very nice and no role needed, obviously extremely fond of young Charlie. And he kind of presents this like, here, these are people that Drusilla invited, or maybe Dad did, I don't know. And of course, she's off doing something and didn't even like set them up with rooms or whatever. So can you do that? Is it just you two?
Oh, no, we have a traveling companion with us. Sir Reginald is also here.
Also, okay. So Finchy, there's some man apparently wandered around. Probably to find him a room too. And she, she's probably making dough or something, or like a pie crust for tomorrow, and so she'll dust off her hands and clean them off and say, "Oh well, it's the lady of the house, the way she operates. She's just like one idea after the other, and runs off and leaves everything for other people to handle. But I'll set you up with some lovely rooms, I guess next to each other."
Yes, please.
And then Charlie will say, I guess you can put them up kind of near me because they're going to be watching me sleep all night, I think. And Miss Finch and then, okay, fine. And you said you had there's a man with you?
Yes, your butler buttled him off to see Abigail, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, she's probably up. I'll tell you, I'll worry about finding him. I'll take you to your rooms. I'll worry about finding him, getting him set up. And then, you know what? This is not worth it. I don't even care. I'll give you some lovely rooms. We've got breakfast in the morning. And if you need anything, you can just come down and find me. I'll take you by where I sleep, just in case you need anything.
Perfect. Thank you.
So she will then, where Charlie's room is. She will show you just some nearby rooms, show you how, like where to get water and all that good stuff. So we will put up as you are doing your ablutions or whatever, and preparing for night watch. Sir Reggie, you have come into this laboratory.
The first thing I want to do is have a quick look out the window.
Yes.
Drusilla mentioned people watching the house.
Yes.
And I was wondering if I could see the glint of light of lanterns or, reflective eyes.
Spot hidden.
That would be an extreme success.
Ooh. You do see a light. Briefly. But it's not lantern. It's kind of a bluish green. It's, this is on the back of the main wing. So as you look down, you see a relatively formal courtyard that is bounded on three sides by the structure itself. There's a kind of rolling lawn that kind of goes down the hill, and then there is a copse of woods, and you can kind of see just around one corner glinting probably a small pond. And there is somewhere past that's the first line of trees, either a solid kind of bluish light that is moving and being obscured by trees, or that's blinking. You see it for a moment and then maybe like move a little bit, try to get another angle. It's around long enough that you like clearly it's more than just a flash or two. And you hear behind you, Will-o'-the-wisp. Like very close behind you, a young woman's voice.
My goodness.
As you turn to see her, quite pretty, probably late teens, rather severe dark hair pulled into a braid, wearing a bit of an apron, dark gray, probably wool clothing. When she says that, she kind of steps back a bit and kind of has her hands together. Sorry, I didn't mean to startle you. It's a will-o'-the-wisp. We see them sometimes.
It's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Sir Reginald Keaton, and I was just visiting the house with some companions, and
Oh, are you a colleague of my father's? Are you here about the collection?
not quite. I'm a professional explorer, you see, and
Oh, yes.
well, I'm here with Dr. Wells to well, your stepmother asked us to see us.
Oh. Why does she want to see you? She doesn't have any time for the collection.
Well, she seemed to be a bit concerned about your interests, and she asked me if I would talk to you.
Hmm.
I do, as a professional explorer, I have been around the world and seen a lot, and I was quite interested myself. If you wouldn't mind telling me a little bit.
So she sent you to distract me. What is she up to? Come on.
Well, I wouldn't dare to inform upon my employer, but perhaps we could come to an arrangement.
She looks at you very suspiciously. What kind of arrangement?
We were rather concerned about her interests in your brother, Charlie.
Oh, she wants to get rid of him. She wants to get rid of me, too, eventually. But she's starting with him. Look, I've got nothing against Lucy. She's a strange child. But it's quite obvious. It's transparent. Drusilla is trying to get rid of Charlie and then get rid of me. She's tried for years to drive a wedge between Charlie and our father. That didn't work out. There's no way she's going to drive a wedge between my father and me. We're too much alike, frankly. But I'm sure she has some sort of plan. Probably marry me off to someone unsuitable or who knows what.
Indeed.
And then she gets my father all to himself. And Lucy, she's a bit old to have another child, and I suppose she's angling to have Lucy be the inheritor of everything. Wouldn't be surprised.
It seems to me that unless she can get rid of Charlie, there's no point in getting rid of you.
Yeah, she's starting with him, I suppose.
So, how exactly is she getting rid of Charlie?
I think she's probably drugging him. He's been off ever since he came back home. I visited him in Providence a few months ago, and he was fine. And he came home to visit and was fine for about a day, and then all of a sudden, just hasn't been quite right.
I see.
I've checked and double checked. We're not missing any poisons, at least not that I know of. So it must be something that she's buying herself or having that Mr. Wise procure for her. But I wouldn't put it past her. I don't think she'd poison him to death. But I do think she'd try to make him look unstable. See, my dad's trying to get him to become more involved in the collection. And Charlie just wants to go and, ride horses and play polo and learn to fly planes, if you can believe that, and drive cars. And so far, but my father's been working on him, and it seems like, he was close to agreeing. And, well, I could use the help. My father's terribly disorganized, and the collection is very important. Don't know.
Well, planes are terribly tempting. I've flown one or two myself. It's the landings that's the tricky bit.
No, I can imagine so. But anyway, about my brother, I think she's drugging him or poisoning him or something, trying to get him out of the way. Well, what are you going to do about it? Are you in favor of people poisoning their own stepchildren to try to get at money and power?
I think it is a very different thing from having a suspicion to have hard evidence. If we could somehow find the poison, it would set my conscience at ease to take action.
Yes. I agree. We should investigate. You're an adventurer, right?
Indeed.
So you must be good at finding all kinds of things and tracking things down and solving mysteries and puzzles and stuff.
Well, between you and me, I was the person who discovered that the pygmy elephants of Borneo are not quite pygmies, but in fact full-sized elephants.
Oh, I don't think that's true at all.
I can assure you, I have shot several.
All right. Will you make a fast talk? Unless you are utterly convinced that this is true.
I am convinced this is true.
Oh, okay. Then persuade. Oh, make a social of your choice. It doesn't have to be fast talk, even though it's demonstrably untrue.
10-10.
10-10.
Which would be 0-0-0, I guess.
Oh, so is that what the die says? 0-0-0?
I rolled 2d10. 10-10.
Yes. So 100? Wait. So a 0 and a 0 and a 0. No 1 in there. Right?
I rolled 2d10 and I got a 10 and a 10. Yes.
So 0 and 0.
Mm-hmm.
So that is 100. So that is a critical fail. Yeah. She Oh. So you're crazy. She's going to start like backing up away. I see. Well, how about we take you to see Mr. Wise? I'm sure he has a lovely room set up for you. I'm sure he'll be really interested to hear about all your grand adventures.
Miss Cavendish, I'm quite sure that I've already met Mr. Wise, and while he was a tad unfamiliar, I rather think that I've had enough of him tonight.
Well, I guess that means you're not entirely crazy. But you know, pygmy elephants are smaller than regular elephants. That's why they're called pygmy elephants. It's like in the name.
I assure you that previous explorers have misidentified them. But enough about the elephants.
I suppose so.
Tell me, do you believe that your mother is being poisoned by food or by injection?
Oh, I don't know. Or drugged. Something. I'm sure she's doing something, or she's having Mr. Wise do something. Charlie's always been a little bit gullible. Well, if you're here to help figure it out, you should help figure it out.
I would like to... Miss Cavendish is spending a lot of time in this room with its strange odor. I will want to know if she's all there.
Oh, yes. Go ahead. That would be psychology.
A failure.
You're not sure. It's, I mean, you have walked miles and miles. You've just had a couple of really weird conversations, and now you're having a strange conversation with this very strange person, and you're kind of like, wait, am I crazy? Is she crazy? I don't know for sure. It's just a little disorienting. It's also a little bit odd, I think, to be having a private conversation with a teenage girl, especially one who seems to be so forceful. I would say she's unusual, but you don't know for sure whether she's mad or not. But doesn't seem it. She's not the one talking about mythical full-size pygmy elephants.
Enough about the pygmy elephants. Miss Cavendish, tell me about the will-o'-the-wisp.
Oh, it's just what we call them. Swamp gases, probably. There's a lake out there, and I suppose trees fall in the water, and microorganisms eat the trees and release gas that for whatever reason glows. It's a known phenomenon. It's happened in various different parts of the world, and it's the source of myths about various different, spirit creatures or fairies or whatever.
Oh, how delightful. Have you ever been out there yourself to look at them?
I mean, yes, but not at night. It's not
Right,
safe
that'll
out
be
there.
bad.
I mean, you might fall in the bog if you don't watch your step. Besides, I'm more of an indoor research type person, not digging around in the dirt. Especially when the phenomenon is well understood. Look, she'll take you over. There's a variety. There's like a book on geochemistry, and there's a full kind of scientific library here, mostly focused on geology, history, archaeology.
I'm happy to let her speak to me about this as long as she wants.
Cool. So she will give you a lecture about swamp gases, and probably talk a little bit about ball lightning as well. Cool. So, Eloise, Dr. Wells, you've been shown to your rooms. You've had a chance to clean up. No idea where Sir Reginald is. But yes, I think Miss Finch will actually, there's an empty room right next to Charlie's room that you can post up in if you'd like. You certainly would be able to hear if there's any disturbance in his room, or if he leaves or whatever. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Miss Finch will eventually find, in the midst of your fascinating conversation about various different unusual phenomena with Miss Abigail Cavendish, Miss Finch will eventually pop in and, is this the one? Saying this to Abigail. And Abigail will say, the one what? It's like the man who's been wandering around. And And I go say, I suppose so. So they have the conversation. And then Miss Finch will, you there? You're with the doctors, right?
Oh, indeed. Sir Reginald Keaton, a pleasure to meet you.
Well, what have you been doing?
Oh, Mrs. Cavendish just asked me to pop in and speak to Abigail here.
Okay. Well, are you done?
Oh, all of this is fascinating. I would love to speak to you some more, Abigail, but if Miss Finch needs me, then...
Well, I need to show you where your room is, and then I need to go to bed. It's quite late. Also, we can't
Very
just have
well.
a strange man wandering around the estate. Just follow me. She will very officiously. Will take you to. She will take you a bit past. She will point out where the doctor and the nurse are staying because she didn't remember their names. And we'll take you a bit further, and we'll kind of walk by a couple of rooms, and then kind of size you up, and then open another room and say, "Sorry, it's so cramped, but it's all we have at the moment that's fit for anyone to stay in."
Thank you. The key, please?
I suppose. She'll pull out a key. And two. The doctors are near young Charlie's room. They're staying up. I suppose they're staying up tonight to make sure that everything's okay with him. Are you supposed to be doing that, or why? Like, why are you here?
Oh, I am here to investigate Charlie as well. I shall certainly take my shift with the doctors.
All
Never
right
fear.
then. Well, come with me. So she will tromp over, and eventually, you, Eloise and Dr. Wells, you hear a light rap on the door of the room that you're in.
I will go open the door.
And Miss Finch
Oh,
then
Sir Reginald.
kind of ushers Sir Reggie in. Found
Yeah.
him. Keep an eye on
Good,
him.
good. I'm glad. Will do.
All right. And then you probably hear her muttering. Sir Reggie, it is odd that a house this size only has, to your knowledge so far, 2 servants.
Well, there was a third servant who went off to get married
That's true.
and is possibly still in the house.
That's possible. But even then, 3. It is quite possible that there are others that haven't been mentioned, but it does feel empty to you, this house. In some ways, it feels quite familiar because it's patterned. It's actually a Second Empire style. So it feels a little bit homey to you, but it does also feel underpopulated.
This is an era in which it was harder and harder to get serving staff because there were factories were opening and people would go off and get better jobs.
Yeah.
But it does somewhat suggest that the house is creepy or something like that. Or they just can't offer enough money.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe they're like, there's a number of suppositions that you would bring, like perhaps people just don't like Drusilla. Perhaps they aren't quite as wealthy. I mean, you've seen that many times, families attempting to keep up appearances, but being, obviously heavily in debt. Nothing about the condition of the house or the grounds suggests that they're in any sort of financial straits, but who knows? But it's just odd. Or it could be that the place is horribly haunted, or that they're all insane murderers who lure traveling doctors and explorers with strange stories of night terrors to murder them ritualistically.
Yeah, probably not that.
Any of
Probably
those
not that
things. Any of those things are possible.
Anyway, I shall freely talk to the ladies, and if anything that I observe gets out to any of the gossips, tough luck.
Right? So you have a chance to compare notes. What happens?
Sir Reginald, you'll never believe this. but Drusilla was the housekeeper here before she got married? So scandalous, don't you think? Oh, we must keep our voices down. He might hear us. Though he probably is out by now, to be honest. I gave him a lot of sleeping medicine.
I
A
see.
lot. I wonder if Miss Finch knows. She seems very familiar with Charlie, so maybe she knows more about Drusilla in general.
You did give him a safe dosage, though, right?
Oh, yes, I told him exactly how much he should take.
Yeah. So, hey, why don't we go ahead and make a medicine roll on that?
We're great at medicine. Hey, I'm going to use a major boon.
Or you want to push it?
No. Nah, I don't want to push it because then he'll probably die. Yes. It was a 92, but now it's a 2.
Okay. So another example of Eloise almost murdering someone with a massive overdose. Only then to go,
Yes.
oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Wait, no, there was that amount. Oh, wrong bottle.
Yeah. It's milliliters, not liters. Okay. Pour an entire cup of whatever extremely strong stuff back in and go, oh, it's actually just this little bit. Yes, so you did not.
That's one way to solve our problem.
Right. You did not overdose him and murder him. Congratulations. What happens?
Anyway, it was the correct amount. We should ask Miss Finch more about the relationship with her tomorrow. Sin, does Dr. Wells tell us? Well, I guess Sir Reginald might also tell me, because I'm just like, she's really concerned about Charlie's well-being.
Yes, Dr. Wells will explain all she knows.
About Drusilla being obviously unpleasant
Yes.
and not remotely caring about young Charlie except to get rid of him? Okay.
Perfect.
And blatantly a poisoner.
Oh. Whoa, he might have been poisoned. Interesting. He did have weird markings. So it kind of made me think that there was maybe like a rope involved. So maybe his sleepwalking isn't entirely voluntary. Quite odd. But at any rate, observations tonight.
Yes.
So we'll set up a nice rotation to see if he does anything overnight, I guess.
Okay. Everyone roll luck.
Oh, 17 under 31.
Okay.
I believe that is 1 under 56.
A 0-1? Like a critical
0-1.
success? Okay, awesome. Dr. Wells?
It's a 69. Nice. Over 55.
And you can't spend luck on luck. So Dr. Wells falls asleep immediately. Eloise is probably self-medicating, let's face it. You're probably like, 1 for you and 2 for me with your little Vim and Vigor pills.
Exactly.
So maybe, you know, you brought some paper with you or whatever to read just to stay up. Yeah, and you've stayed up late with patients before too. So it's not like you're entirely used to it. So Reginald, I think because you're not used to the pep pills that Eloise provides you, you're maybe a little wired. Maybe having a bit of a hard time sitting still. And I will say, you hear the window next door open.
What was that? What was that? It's a thief. Some coming for the Egyptology artifacts. No, it can't be a thief. No. It's the will of the wisp. No. I'm going to wake up Eloise and Dr. Wells.
Well, Eloise is still awake. Dr. Wells has zoned out. And I think you two figured that with two people awake, it was fine. She could get her rest.
Yeah.
Dr. Wells, wake up.
Why? I'm totally awake. Just resting my eyes.
With me. And I rush into the next door, which I presume is the boys' room.
Yes. So, you don't have the key.
But I have the key. So
You have the key. But I think Sir Reggie, so Reggie you just are going to burst out.
I'm going to burst out, try the door, find it locked, and I'm going to put my shoulder into it.
Go ahead and give me a strength. As Eloise goes, I've got the key.
I've got the... Oh, okay.
And then I'm going to push the strength roll.
Okay.
Oh my God, you're going to knock yourself out.
And that is a success.
Just a regular success?
Just regular.
Okay, so kind of hit it one time. These doors are quite sturdy. And then you hit it another time. And it's just enough that, like, it doesn't break the door frame or the door or whatever. It just, whatever the latch mechanism that we already knew was kind of off, just kind of pops. And you come into an empty room. The window open, cool night air, the little bit of a waning moon casting, not like beams of moonlight, but just a little bit of light.
Sure, I
Well,
stumble into the middle of the room. Dr. Wells, what are you doing?
Just kind of like,
What floor are we on?
second floor.
Can I look out the window?
Are you looking out your window or going around to Charlie's room?
Going around to Charlie's room.
Okay. Yep. Make a spot hidden for me. Not that you won't see anything. I'm just, I want to see what the roll is to see how much you see.
Rolled a 13, so that's a 13 under 15, which
13
is
under
the
75, which is an extreme success. Because your extreme success is 15. So you see all the things. Perhaps because you had your eyes closed because you were sleeping. Going into the dark room and looking outside in the dark, your eyes are better adapted. Because I'm sure that there was some sort of lamp on while Eloise and Sir Reggie were keeping vigil. Yes, in fact, you see Charlie, who is, you at first think, climbing down the house. And this is an old house. It's got trees and ivy and stuff growing up it, so it's not like it would be that strange. Only with your extreme success, he's not climbing. In fact, he looks asleep. He's being somehow hauled down the wall. Like maybe he's jostled a little bit and his head rolls back and his eyes are closed. His arms are at his side, but he's somehow being carried down the wall. Not sure how. It's weird.
it's obviously a logical explanation here.
Of course.
Just
Yes,
haven't
Trigger light.
figured it out yet.
Sir Reginald, how good are you at climbing down walls from the second floor? Keep an eye on him.
How many beams do we have?
A lot.
We can use them all for this. We have 5 major,
Yeah.
3 minor. You're good to go. I'm going to go take the stairs, though.
Yeah.
I shall climb down the
I'm
wall.
also taking stairs.
Okay. So Eloise instructs Sir Reggie, get out the window, chase after him. And then Eloise and Dr. Wells run down. Cool. So Sir Reggie, as you kind of make your way out the window, go ahead and give me a climb.
Extreme success.
Wow. So Reggie, like one arm swings out, catches a hold of some ivy, and then like does that one arm drop down as you're looking down below you. I think you actually catch up because he was kind of going down the outside. I think you act very, very quickly, and you actually find yourself reaching his level just before he hits the ground.
Is he being hauled by something physical or?
Yeah. You're not quite sure what. Do you want to check it out?
I am going to reach out and grab it and haul backwards on it so that he's loosed.
Okay.
Sorry, not loose.
So you're not gonna try to figure it out. You're just gonna grab a hold of him. Cool. Go ahead and give me a. Go ahead and give me a strength, and then a climb.
So the strength roll was 98, but I've got a 70, so that's okay. And the climb roll was 95, and that was not okay.
Well, I mean, 98 on 70 is still not great. So, yeah. Well, you do grab a hold of him, and you feel something moving, but you're just like, I'm not even going to worry about it. Also, it's quite dark. And you do your best to like, you grab him kind of under the arms and start to try to pull, and you reach up and try to grab with your massive strength and amazing climbing prowess to like hold on and wrench him loose. But what you actually grab a hold of is just like a hanging piece of ivy that is not even enough to support your weight. And then you and he are pulled off. You are not held aloft, so you are going to fall. Go ahead and make a dexterity for me.
$97.
Wow. What is your total dexterity?
70.
Okay, so over 50, so it's not a critical fail. So you are going to take, let's see, what is that? You are going to take 2 points of damage, though. So you're pulled and like maybe like tweak your ankle, and then kind of stumble forward and do a little bit of a roll and knock your head a little bit. It mostly bumps and bruises, but it's not a good fall. And it takes a moment to get your bearing. It's also quite dark. What are Dr. Wells and Eloise doing? Running?
Yep.
Go ahead and give me constitution checks, both of you. Just to see how fast you can get down. See how long Sir Reggie has by himself.
I got 32 under 60, so just a success.
Okay. Dr. Wells.
Oh yeah, 21 under 50.
Okay, cool. So Dr. Wells is first out the gate. Eloise just a little bit behind. I think maybe Eloise, you thought to bring your doctor bag So maybe it's slowing you down a bit. So Reggie, about the time that you hit the ground and kind of, stood up and dust yourself off and get your senses back to you, Dr. Wells comes racing around the side of the house with Eloise shortly behind. Dr. Wells, what you see first is Sir Reggie on the ground, just kind of sitting up and just kind of dusting himself off. And you see Charlie kind of walking, but more like hanging in the air. Like he's a little bit limp and his, like, just the toes of his feet are kind of dragging through the grass. It's odd, but dark, so it's not quite, you're not quite sure, but it doesn't look like he's walking.
And of course, I did not bring the light.
We were in a hurry. Anyway, follow him then, quickly.
Yes.
Come on, Sir Reginald. Let's go.
I stumble to my feet and go after the two ladies.
Okay. So you are following Charlie. He's moving at not a particularly fast clip, but it's quite possible to catch up to him. What do you do when you catch up to him?
Considering that he doesn't look quite like he's walking, and he had weird rope-like stuff across his chest before, I'm gonna see what's under his shirt.
Okay. Go
Just
ahead and give me... Oh, I want to make it a power roll. I think that's probably the best.
Okay. Well, I got 93 over 50.
Yeah, so he's got his nightshirt open, so you kind of just like rip it open and look. And like it does look like his midsection is slightly compressed. But that's all. That's all you notice.
Can I try to pat him down?
Yeah, go ahead and give me a Powerball.
Dr. Wells, that's highly inappropriate.
You mean the two of us running up to this teenager and ripping off his shirt and then
He's
touching
actually
him?
in his early 20s.
All right, this early 20-year-old?
He's older than Abigail, yeah.
Yeah, does that make it slightly better?
He's like 21 or something, 21 or 22. And you guys are young-ish. And you're both doctors. Calm down. It's fine.
Yeah, we're both doctors. Calm down, Sir Reggie. We're doctors.
I think that's a 40 under 70.
Yes. As you kind of feel where his midsection is slightly compressed, at first you just feel his skin, but then there's something else. And you try it again, and you definitely feel something that you can't see. It's slick, maybe a little wet. It's a little knobbly, slimy, warm-ish. Kind of feels like a tongue. I mean, in that it's muscular and slimy and a little knobbly. That's gross. I think that's a sanity check because you're feeling something that you can't see.
So do I do the same with the
just like a skill?
stuff?
Yeah. You want to hit the number or get below. And if you don't, well, might lose some sanity.
So that's a 25 under 70.
You're fine. You have no idea what's going on, but you're fine. Your
Charlie,
power
wake up.
denial is good. Yes, go ahead. It's Reggie.
Charlie. I am going to slap him across the face.
Go ahead and give me a fighting brawl.
I can't push that. Would you mind if I spent a boom?
Go for it.
That would be a success, not regular.
Okay. So you go to swing, and you don't know why, but like as you swing toward him, it's like he's pulled away. So you have to like double it around and then backhand him. And you smack him upside the face. I take it you're not attempting to do actual damage. It's more like a maneuver. Cool. He is super, super drugged out. So I will say that it's enough to make him kind of go, but he's full on under laudanum or whatever crazy nonsense that Eloise almost overdosed him on. But he's clearly like he's not completely out because he reacted much like someone who was drugged would when they got smacked upside the face. Dr. Wells, you got your arms around him and you're feeling this stuff. So Reggie's smacking this poor kid in the face. Eloise is doing something too.
Observing.
Eloise is just going, this is weird. So what's happening? He's still being pulled along. So what happens?
Dr. Wells is currently thinking about if Eloise dosed him enough to kind of fake his death but not actually kill him, would whatever this thing that's holding on to him that they can't see, would it still come after him or would it not? Or is it only a thing if it's alive, or does it matter if it's alive or dead or stuff like that? Just overthinking about
Dr. Wells is considering
what is
murdering this
happening.
kid. Well, maybe if he's dead.
It would stop. That is one variable we could control.
Look, you have large amounts of cocaine. Surely if you inject that into his heart like adrenaline, you could wake him up from the dead. I believe in you, Eloise.
Well, I mean, there's smelling salts. Those usually do something.
Just to clarify, the window he was pulled out of faces the back of the house, towards the lake and the Will of the Wisps. Yeah. I'm going to try and get ahead of him somehow and try and feel for this throat.
Okay. Power.
That would be a hard success.
Yeah, absolutely. There is some sort of, as you move in front of him, it actually, like it raises up off the ground to wrap around him and hold him up. But then probably 6 or 7 feet out in front of him, it drapes down onto the ground. You still can't quite see it, but you're getting the impression that it is kind of pushing some of the grass to the side. Like there's a little bit of a breeze out. It's all very, and it's quite dark, so it's a little bit difficult to tell, but you think you can kind of get a sense of where it is.
Dr. Wells, quick, your derringer. Shoot between my hands.
as you kind of make a space for it. Okay, cool. That's a fantastic idea.
The other option is Eloise with the syringe.
I have a knife.
Yeah. I mean, you're not currently
like
insane, so you
Eloise.
might not be good at it, but we'll see.
Oh, speaking of, do I need to make a sanity roll?
Yeah. This is something weird. And you did
I
successfully
like
sort of perceive it.
Eloise's idea.
That's a pass.
Okay.
You mean a knife? And I'll just run up there and cut it instead of shooting a gun in your general direction in the dark.
I mean, if you
Yeah.
want to be lame,
Yeah,
and
I
not
think we do
fire
want to be a
guns at each
little
other in the
lame.
dark.
Yes, maybe that one. We were up
Fine.
too late.
Fine. Yeah. So you want to?
I will.
Okay, go ahead. Do the.
Yeah, I'll hustle over and try to cut at the air, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I'm gonna say because you failed the power roll, right?
I did.
So it'll be with a penalty die because you literally you're just cutting at a general area of air, as far as you can tell.
Yeah. Well, he's like right here, and I'm like, what? Okay. Ooh. Well, I rolled a 90 on the tens die both times, so that will just get me a 90 over 45 as I swoosh my little knife around in the air. Swish, swish.
But you don't actually cut anyone.
Yeah.
You would have had to get a 96 for that. So yeah, you literally just wave your knife, and you're not sure if it's like the knife is going through it or if you're just waving in the air. There's no way of really knowing. And by the way, all this is happening at, I'm going to say, not quite a jog, but a relatively rapid clip. You are now going down this little embankment. The leading edge of the trees is probably 30 feet away.
Can I try to tickle it?
Sure. Fighting brawl? Just give me a power roll. I think it's more like you're attempting to interact with the thing.
Can I use 4 luck to push that down to a 70?
Yeah.
So then it'll be a 70.
Okay. So you kind of catch back up with Charlie. You kind of put your hands on this slimy whatever thing that you still can't see. And just kind of start rubbing it, which is super duper weird. But we'll say that it does feel like it loosens the grip a little bit. Like you can see Charlie kind of slide down a little bit within its grip. Like you're not sure why, but you're getting in there, and somehow that's loosening the grip a little bit. So now he's fully kind of like his legs are fully dragging in the grass.
Quick, Reggie, grab the boy.
I shall let go of the tentacle and grab the boy.
All right. Fighting brawl.
I'm going to spend 3 luck to get that to a normal success.
Regular success. So yes, you're able to kind of tackle him. And now you're being dragged along as well, but at a slower clip. Because now you're kind of holding on around his waist and being dragged along with him. So Eloise, this is what you see.
Yeah, it's weird. This is weird.
You think you hear yakety sax playing in the background.
Yeah. Yeah, where are we yakety saxing to anyway? Into the bog?
Who knows?
Cool. Maybe it'll be better if we get someone else being insane here. So I am going to take out the smelling salts and I'm going to put them in front of Charlie's face to see if he'll wake up.
Okay.
They
Go ahead
tend to
and
work.
give me like a first aid.
Yeah. I'm I'm incredibly good at medicine right now. That's a 3 under
Wow.
75. So that's a extreme success.
Wow.
Wake up, Charlie.
Yes. So Charlie wakes up to a really weird situation
He sure does.
with Sir Reggie hugging him around the waist. Dr. Wells trying to tickle the air. Who knows? So I think, and he's still a little bit drugged. So I think, yeah, he wakes up and starts freaking out.
This is exactly what the situation
What's going on?
needed. And everyone is still dragging along.
Well, I think he's going to start to struggle.
Yeah, that's fair.
Mostly trying to get Sir Reggie off of him, but it might help him get out from underneath this thing. And he's actually quite athletic. But is still drugged. Misses it by a little bit. I mean, he's writhing around quite forcefully, but maybe he's just a function of just having woken up, is not able to get himself free. What are you doing to me? Where am I?
Calm down. We're trying to stop you from moving.
Aren't you carrying me? What's carrying me?
An excellent question.
What did you give me?
Well, you see, there was a combination of laudanum and probably a little morphine and heroin.
Opium.
Standard sleeping drugs. Opium,
Just all
yes,
the
of
opiates.
course.
Yes.
All of them. And it's a special tincture that's put together. I'm going to keep explaining this while he's freaking out. If the others want to actually do something useful right now.
Yes. Dr. Wells, Sir Reggie.
Because it worked out so nicely last time. Try to continue tickling this thing in hopes it loosens more.
Okay. Power, I guess. I mean, I think it's more like you're just like rubbing it and some of the slime is getting around and maybe it's making it more slippery or something. I don't know.
It's a 56 under 70.
Yeah. Cool. It's helping. He slips a little bit further down and now whatever that wrap around him is kind of like starting to like force his arms up. So now he's just kind of being dragged back this way with Sir Reggie holding on at his waist. What is happening? Sir Reggie, what are you doing?
So Reggie does not in fact have a knife. So Reggie is going to try and push a coil upwards over the boy's head.
Okay.
To try and...
Yep.
Which power roll?
Yeah. I think so. Or strength, your choice.
Well, strength is my best stat, so I'm going to take a regular success.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you just like, hold on, kind of climb up him a little bit and then just reach to where you know this coil or whatever is and tell him to stick his arms up straight and just kind of force this thing. It's like taking off a really tight sweater. And you can see like his face gets all mushed up as you force this coil up, but eventually, and it's extra lubricated, I guess, because of all the rubbing from Dr. Wells, that eventually there's just this, and Charlie and Sir Reginald kind of fall onto the grassland. You're now probably 15 feet from the trees.
I cover Charlie with my body so that if the tentacle comes down.
Okay. Which is nice. That's actually very nice. So Sir Reggie and Charlie are on the ground. Charlie is still groggy. And it's just like, what are we doing? As Sir Reggie is now on top of him. What are Eloise and Dr. Wells doing?
And I think that's about all the things inside of the medicine. Oh, you stopped. Good. And I guess I'll look to the tree line to see if I can see whatever it was that was doing things. I don't think so. I haven't even know what they were all.
You, in fact, see a blue light.
Ooh. Shiny.
Yeah. Kind of bobbing about above the trees. Oh, not above the trees. Kind of at, like, eye level, basically. Bobbing about amongst the trees, I should say. Seems
is this
to be
one of those will-o-wisps that you were talking about, Sir Reginald?
Apparently so.
Maybe that's the cause of the sleepwalking.
It would be a very big coincidence if the will-o-wisps attacked the one person that Mrs. Cavendish wanted rid of most.
as the ball of light gets closer. Anyone can listen for me, maybe?
Yeah.
I will listen.
Failure.
Okay. It's too loud hearing Charlie like in your ear, like, what are you, seriously though, what's going on? It's hard to.
I also failed.
Okay.
I also failed with a 92 over 50.
Cool. So yeah, you're just sitting there talking. It's a little bit difficult to gauge the distance to the little floating ball of light. And you don't get enough warning as it launches out of the line of trees and towards you. I will say that certainly for Eloise and Dr. Wells, without a roll, you can tell that the light is attached to something, in that there is a distortion, an area of, like looking through old glass with all the ripples and bubbles. Like you can see an area where the tree trunks seem to curve or get smoky or twisted somehow. Enough to discern that there is some sort of faintly serpentine shape. But it does not lend itself to your vision. However, both of you need to make a sanity check.
Gang, I got 18 under 30. I'm so proud of me.
Wow. Wow. Almost a hard success.
Almost.
Cool. Take one. Because it's clearly a supernatural creature. Dr. Wells.
Can I use luck on this?
Nope.
Okay. So that's a 72 over 70.
Cool. Do you have a D4? If not, I'll roll it for you.
Somewhere. What's a D? You roll it.
Okay. That is going to be a 2. So take 2 points of sanity. Which is fine. There is a smell. It's not great. And you can probably now hear there is some sort of sound, but it's more like a really awful sound very, very far away. Like the two of you can see where whatever this thing is, where it is, it's quite close. The sound, you know that the sound is coming from it, but it sounds as if it's from a great distance. Some sort of burbling, kind of a burpy growl. It's very wet sounding, kind of gross. What do you do? It's coming right towards you.
Get ready to stab.
Okay. Dr.
I got
Wells.
a knife.
I think, Sir Reggie, just from your position, you can see the doctor and the nurse kind of turn in that direction. So you now, like, you have a weird angle on it, and they're between you and it, but you are aware enough that there's some sort of threat that you can do a thing.
Eloise is pulling a dynamic pose.
Yes. You see her do that thing where she reaches into the doctor's bag and unerringly pulls out a knife. So you know it's on.
Does the smell remind me of the smell in the lab earlier?
No. This is a very organic smell. That was a kind of a chemically smell.
I am going to scramble to my feet and yell down at Charlie, "Run back to the house."
Okay. He's like, okay. Wow. He's obviously a little bit loopy. But he will take his action to kind of start stumbling in that general direction. Who has the highest dexterity? And no one has a drawn gun, so it's just flat dexterity.
70.
So, Sir Reggie?
60.
Okay.
40.
Cool. So, Sir Reggie, what do you do?
I am going to move in front of Dr. Wells.
Okay. Shield her with your body?
Yes. And look to see what I haven't seen so far.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and yeah, give me a power.
That would be an extreme success.
So it's almost as if the scales fall from your eyes. Or perhaps now that it's closer. So for one moment, you see this blue light kind of darting. And then this weird, behind it, this strange kind of area of disruption. And then it's almost like something emerging from water, where it's all rippledy and strange and difficult to make out. But then as it comes through the surface, it becomes very, very clear. What you see is this kind of salamander-like creature that has a protrusion from the center of its skull that is giving off this glow. And as it lunges in your direction, you can see as the rest of its body becomes clear. It's got some arms and legs and tentacles and weird stuff. It's not what I would call particularly symmetrical. It has a lot more eyes than it ought to have. Some of them on its head, some of them on random bits and pieces of it. As the vision becomes clearer, the smell hits you much more strongly. The sound that it's making becomes much more apparent to you. Go ahead and give me another sanity roll there.
Success.
Cool. Take one. And make a spot hidden.
That would be 85 over 34.
Do you want to do something about that? You don't have to. We got lots and lots of boons.
Yes, I will re-roll for a major boon.
Cool.
That's right. 72.
Okay. You don't notice anything unusual other than the weirdness that's going on. And did I say take one? Because you made your... Yeah. Okay, cool. So you now see it. So you have moved forward. You've seen it. You still have an action if you'd like to do something.
I am going to draw my revolver.
Okay. Cool. I think Dr. Wells was next. Is that right? No, Eloise was next.
Yeah, I think
All
I'm
right.
next with 60.
Eloise, you're next.
I mean, I think I'm just going to brace as it comes in and see if I can strike at the part that was wibbly underneath the light, right? Because it was attached to the light as far as I saw.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead and give me another power, only this time with a bonus die.
34 under 50. But the problem is I didn't want to perceive it though.
But you do now. Yeah, I think that the fact that it's now become apparent to one person, it's becoming more real, shall we say.
Yeah.
So go ahead and give me that sanity check there.
Yeah, 55 over 29.
All right, you roll up a d4.
D4, here we go. 3. All right.
Have we hit your
No, not
Okay.
quite yet. I need, I think, 2 more.
Okay. Before you turn into Buffy
All
the
right.
Vampire Slayer, because that's what happens when you go crazy. Cool.
Yeah.
So yes,
so far.
you can now perceive it. Certainly,
yeah, I
certainly
don't
well
like it.
enough to try to stab it.
I
You
will
can
try to
also
stab it.
give me actually go ahead and give me a spot hidden.
Sure thing. That is a 39 under 69. So just success.
Oh, but pretty good. Would you like to
Yeah.
do a little something to make that a hard success?
Yeah, I probably
Could spend
won't
a
need
mi-
much
could
of this luck anymore.
Or you could spend a minor boon for -10.
Yeah, that might be better. I'll just do that.
Okay.
And then it will be a hard success.
Yes. So as it comes fully into view, you're like, oh, gross, because the sound and smell hits you too. But you happen to be in just the right position to realize it has, it's wearing some jewelry. So it
Oh.
has one of its stalk arm things, like it's not quite coming out the side, it's coming off the back a little bit. And it has some joints in it, but it ends in a very floppy kind of tentacly thing. But towards where it joins with the body, you see a metal ring. And in the glow of its own light, there's a faint glow of strange sigils graven into the metal ring affixed to its
Is
body.
this, in the moment that I see this, is this at all familiar with anything that we've seen this evening? Or just like, whoa, that's weird?
It does not seem familiar to you with anything that you've seen this evening.
All right. But either way, I'm going
yeah.
to stab that.
Okay,
Yeah, that seems like the thing to do.
cool.
Or at least I'll try.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to use a major boon.
Probably a good idea.
What if I kept using major boons?
Sure.
Is the real question. Let's see how many we got here.
I think we have a good amount.
I don't know. We've used some.
We have 4
One.
left.
I can use another one, right?
Yeah,
Right?
sure.
Right? Come on, die. You can do it. All right. 21 under 45. Hard success at
Oh,
stabbing.
hard success. Go ahead and do your damage.
Ah, yes. What is plus DB?
That's your damage bonus.
Oh,
So in that
my
little thing
0.
next to it, yeah, 0. It can be negative, it can be positive, but yours is 0.
Oh, I'll do 1 point of damage.
Okay.
It's very cute.
Your knife kind of glances off this metal ring, but then does kind of stab into the weird rubbery flesh. There's a bit of a gout of this oily fluid from the wound. It smells utterly awful. Like it smells like death and or really awesome, really, really great authentic fish sauce, which are kind of smell the same. Like it's pungent. But you have drawn blood. Cool. So Dr. Wells is next. However, it is actually up before Dr. Wells. Cool. Let me just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4. So Reggie, would you like to dodge or fight back?
I don't believe I can fight back. Dodge, please.
Cool.
Not with a firearm.
Good. Dodge it up. What'd you get there?
80.
It got a 14, which for it is a hard success. Cool. And yes, why not? So Eloise, you are knocked a little bit to the side as this creature just moves its head back and forth, sees Sir Reggie, and then leaps on him. And Sir Reggie, you are now mostly inside the creature. As it just leaps up into the air, you see this thing coming down on you. It opens its big rubbery mouth and then just around you. I'm going to say you take 1 point of damage just from being jostled about. It's now turned around and is kind of rearing toward you as Sir Reggie's feet kick. You probably hear a muffled, "Oh, I say," or something coming from inside it, and it starts to kind of like try to gulp him down. It's significantly larger than you, but it's probably only twice as large as a person. So it's going to take it a moment before it can fully get him into his gullet. Cool. Well, now, Dr. Wells. I think that's worth a sanity check for Dr. Wells. This creature has just nearly eaten Sir Reggie in one bite.
It's a 17 under 68.
Yeah, Dr. Wells is fully convinced that this is just... I'm going to make you take 1. No matter how scientific you are, this is still weird. You still take 1.
What does that mean?
It just means reduce your sanity by 1.
Okay.
Success means the best possible outcome with regard to sanity loss, but sometimes the best possible outcome is losing a bunch of sanity. Or 1, in most cases. Cool.
That swamp gas appears to be a swamp tornado.
This is clearly some sort of strange creature that no one has ever discovered. It's definitely not... Creatures can be invisible and emit their own light, and yeah, it's totally fine. Totally natural, normal. Not occult at all. And
Just
whatever
a
that strange
chameleon.
object with occult markings on it that Eloise is trying to hack off of it is clearly just natural markings or coloration or something. Yeah. So, Dr.
Yes,
Wells,
definitely.
what do you do?
I want to shoot it.
Cool. Give it a try. You might put Sir Reggie out of his misery.
That's a 25 under 35.
Oh my God. Yes, you absolutely do. Roll your damage. Who knew that Dr. Wells was a sharpshooter?
That's a 5.
Cool. Yes, and you hit it in a spot that doesn't accidentally also hit Sir Reggie. And yeah, just a big gout of that oily grossness. It smells terrible. It tries to moan or growl or make some sort of noise, but its mouth is kind of full. So mostly it just jiggles you, Sir Reggie, as you can feel this like buzzing vibration through your body as it tries to woo around you. So well done. So Reggie, you are head first down this thing. It's real gross. You can feel the like peristalsis trying to pull you in, but your legs are still kind of kicking out its mouth. The good news is it doesn't seem to have teeth. Like where it's closing down on your legs is hard. It's painful, but it doesn't seem to have rending teeth. Or perhaps you're in shock. Who knows? What do you do?
I am going to attempt to fire my pistol.
Yes. I think that's probably a good idea. You had it out. It's point blank. Really the only thing you need to do is like not point it at yourself. So I think that's worth a bonus die. I mean, it's going to be real hard to hit. Sorry, real hard to miss being inside this thing.
So that would be an extreme success.
Ooh, well, that makes sense because you're on the inside. So yes, go ahead and roll your, so it's max damage plus die because this is a impaling, piercing weapon.
So that would be 13, I believe.
Oh, so, and what kind of firearm do you have?
It says a 38.
Okay, so as Dr. Wells and Eloise watch, just part of this creature's side kind of goes out, and just the release of pressure and whatever's in its gut starts kind of also pulling you out, Sir Reggie. So we see a scene as you're kind of pulled out as part of its guts fall out, and your head is now kind of coming out the side of this thing. You're just completely slicked in this disgusting mess, but your feet are still sticking out the mouth as it begins to spasm and writhe. Not quite dead, but close. That was a very powerful shot.
A human fish hook.
Yes. Cool. Eloise. You can now tell for sure that that metal band is definitely glowing.
Right.
And maybe
keep
even
stabbing it.
glowing stronger than it was a moment ago.
Yeah, well, maybe it's because this guy's violently dying, kind of. I'm going
Maybe.
to stab at that
Cool, do it.
thing, though. (96/45).
Oh no!
Wait, hold on. Geobear's here to save me. I'm
Yeah,
going to
you
use a
should
major boom.
You should do something about that right away because that's a crit fail.
That's very bad. That's very bad. All right, what's this one? Oh, that makes more sense. It's a 76/45, which I think I will take.
Yeah, you don't accidentally slit Reggie's throat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's much better. So it's just I'm gonna say that you catch it or whatever, but it's on like the slippery part of it, and you don't like make any further progress on trying to hack off that thing. Are you saying anything about that to like anyone else?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like I'm pretty focused on. Well, I'm just like, there's a rune over here. I
Okay.
don't think I said it earlier because Reggie was swallowed,
Yes,
and that seemed
but now that he
important. But it
can
looks like
see, because his head is
he's
halfway
exiting.
sticking out of this creature. Yes. Yeah.
It was just a moment of temptation.
Worst
Yeah,
natural
the-
childbirth video ever. Like more terrifying and traumatizing than the ones that they made us watch in like junior high. Cool. So, well, all right then. It's going to be its go. I think it's just gonna try to swallow Reggie, which is weird. But I mean, it's not smart. I think it's just gonna try to swallow Reggie, so that it has its mouth open so it can bite. Yeah. It got a 1. No, sorry, no, it's a 10. It got a 10. Okay, it got a 10. But that's still really, really good. So it like throws its head back and swallows really hard, and which then just shoots Reggie out the side of it where you had blown that hole. I guess that makes sense. And then I think it's going to wheel around, and then probably just try to eat Reggie again. Because like it didn't work. Like it just ate you and you're out. So it's going to try to, I think. Would you like to dodge there, Reg?
Yes, please. Hard success.
It got a regular success. So you just like not again, roll out of the way, and this thing like plows a furrow in the grass as it tries to grab you, and then rears its head back, looking for someone else to eat. Eloise, sorry, Dr. Wells. Who's next? Eloise,
Dr.
just
Wells.
it's Dr. Wells. You're next, and then Sir Reggie.
And I shoot it again.
Yeah.
Shoot the rune, Dr. Wells. You're such a good aim before.
Yeah. Now that Eloise points it out, you can see it. It's like a little manacle wrapped around one of its weird arm tentacle things.
So what does a major boon do?
Reroll up to both dice.
And I use a major boon.
Sure.
It's a 41 over 35.
You can spin luck.
Okay.
So that's
So
just
it'd
6 points.
Okay.
Cool. So, yeah, go ahead and spend 6 luck points. That gets you a regular hit. Roll your damage.
4.
Cool. All right. It is on its last legs, and I will say that you hit near that tentacle where that glowing band is. It was just a regular hit. So it's now kind of flopping around. So Reggie, as you pull yourself to your feet, just dripping in this slime, what do you do?
I'm going to aim where Dr. Wells was. Very clever woman, Dr. Wells.
Yes, you can see this golden band thing now, too. You try to blow it off.
And then I'm going to spend a major boon to roll that die.
All right.
And that is still a 97.
What? do you want to spend a couple of points of luck to make it not? What's your firearms?
I have 60. I believe.
Okay, so yeah, it's not a crit fail. The shot just goes wild. You start to you like a proper gent angle yourself and then take aim, but you're standing in just a puddle of this disgusting stuff, and you're super slippery, and you start to like drop the gun as it slides out of your hands, and then you slip backward, so the shot goes wild. It looks like it's up to Eloise. It's on its last 17 tentacles.
Just a few tentacles.
I will say that go ahead.
Got a 4 to stab it on the rune spot.
Beautiful. Extreme
It is.
Success.
Extreme success.
I was going to say it's go ahead and roll the damage, but it's a piercing.
I just rolled a 1, right?
No, it's max damage plus a die, because this is a piercing stabby.
Okay. Well, I rolled a 1 on the extra die, so it'll be 5 damage.
5 damage. So
Yes.
as is often Eloise is an action hero, as we have learned over the past several adventures. Eloise is just like the shot that Dr. Wells took that was kind of onto its back, like knocked loose a flap that is like tangentially connected to where this big tentacle comes out. So understanding its bizarre physiognomy and making a bet on exactly how it works on the inside, I'm going to say Eloise just strides forward and kind of jumps up on the back and then just grabs a hold of this big tentacle thing, reaches the knife to where the gunshot went in, Dr. Wells' gunshot, and then just makes a quick scooping motion, and you chop the tentacle off. As soon as you pull that tentacle loose, the body of the creature just immediately goes still underneath you as you kind of fall. And then you start to sink into it as it hisses and fizzes in a most unpleasant and odorific way. Yeah. But the danger appears to have passed. What happens? What do you do?
Ew. Is everyone okay? No one's too hurt? Wander over. Wait, hold on. Where was the rune at? Is it still doing stuff?
Yeah, as the so you ripped off this tentacle with this chunk of flesh. That whole thing starts to kind of fizz and burble and decay relatively rapidly. And as it does, the band shrinks until it gets to be a little bit larger than like a ring for a person, but not much larger.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to shrink as the mass of this creature rots away.
Cool.
But you
The
have
one
it.
ring. It's fine.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'm taking that
Okay.
for later study. Interesting that it can control creatures. Not that I have any available creatures anywhere where I work. Anyway.
Right?
Well. Oh, did Charlie run off?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's like gone.
I mean, that was only a few seconds. You probably can see him like holding up his pajama bottoms.
Yeah.
Just kind of like slowly stumbling through the formal garden towards one of the entrances. You probably also can hear him. It's like, help, I think. He's not being super loud.
Yeah. Well,
It's like, Finchy, are you awake? Something's going on. What happens?
How much evidence of a body is there going to be by the time someone comes back this way?
It's already mostly slime.
Yeah, so there's just going to be a pile of weird bog slime.
Yeah.
And us covered in weird bog slime.
Yeah.
We're going to need to come up with a reason why. Oh, the will-o'-the-wisps have been luring him out here, and we're just covered in bog stuff. That's good enough.
I would like to survey the area, visually, just to see if I can see if anybody was commanding the creature.
Oh, yeah, it's not hidden.
I am going to lock that into a normal success.
A normal success. I will say you are certain that there was no one out here near the little pond or the little marshy area or in the woods. Like you're certain that you do like you're not searching, but you listen, you look very closely. There's no sign of any person out in this area. But you do have a sense that it might have been controlled. But there is no sign of a controller or really anyone in this immediate vicinity. So what happens? It's not just that it's fizzing away. It's almost like it's turning into this fizzy, disgusting grossness, but then also gaining that distance. Like it's not really there. If that makes sense. Like while it's decomposing, it's also going back into whatever state it was that made it very difficult to perceive.
Yes.
And as the last little bit of blue glow goes out of that strange organ on its forehead, it kind of turns into just a smelly spot.
Well, at least I'm no longer covered in goo.
Yeah, I mean, you smell really interesting. But most of the goo has kind of dissipated.
Well, I guess we better go catch up with Charlie.
Yeah. So I think by the time you start moving that direction, you can see some lantern light coming as two of the larger back doors open, and you see Mr. Wise with a dressing gown, holding a shotgun, coming out. You probably see Mrs. Finch come right behind him. They heard the gunshots, but that was, probably 20 seconds ago. It takes a while. They come out. What's going on? We heard gunshots. Charlie, what are you doing outside? Mr. Wise, as you guys stumble, immediately levels the shotgun at you.
Now, Mr. Wise, we were merely tracking Charlie during one of his sleepwalking incidents, and we believe that the will-o'-the-wisps effects out here is, I think those are often have certain kind of chemicals, gaseous nature, so on, that was affecting Charlie. Maybe there was something at school that was different, so when he came home recently, he was not acclimated to them.
Go ahead and give me a persuade.
Yeah, I will.
I'll even give you a bonus die because you're using scientific stuff to confuse him.
I do sound scientific, don't I? 33 under 70, so hard success.
He will shoulder the shotgun again. Sorry, I just to know what's going on. So you were firing guns at a will-o'-the-wisp? Swamp gas?
It probably exploded.
Oh, it's explosive. Well, that's terrible.
Yes,
Well,
it is very terrible. We managed to get Charlie away just in time.
It smells like it sprayed you with filth.
Yes, it did spray us with filth. That is something that swamp gas does.
Ah, I see. So
Yes.
that's most unfortunate. Well, good thing that you've solved the case. Everyone can make.
Yes.
So at this point, I think Abigail will. She will come down into the back. These are the back doors nearest the kitchen. She will come down, kind of listen to all this and kind of go, "That's not how swamp gas works," but to herself. But anyone else can, or everyone can make a spot hidden.
That is 44 under 69 success.
Would you like a hard success? I can luck that.
Don't worry about it.
I got an 11,
Which is
a extreme success.
okay. Well, extreme success does make a difference. So all three of you notice that someone is watching all of this from the West Wing. Like you didn't notice it at first, but as you're all there at the back door, you all just happen to be in such a place where you can see an individual kind of close the curtains. But Dr. Wells actually saw it before anyone else. And what you saw, Dr. Wells, what attracted your attention was that someone had their hand on the window and like pulled back and then closed, like they were leaning up against the window, maybe possibly doing this to listen. So you saw that, and then you saw, maybe because your eyes were attracted that direction, that person stepped back and closed the curtains. So what
I think
happens?
there's someone upstairs.
Oh, yes. I'm so sorry if we disturb the household. And I kind of gesture in the direction of the West Wing.
Oh, well, that'll be the lady of the house. I'm sure she was disturbed. She's a light sleeper. I'm sure she was disturbed by all the kerfluffle. I'll go see to her, says Mr. Wise.
Yes, of course.
I'll let her know
in the
that.
morning.
Yes.
Yes. In the morning, we can discuss more. But in a case like this, we may want to come back for additional observation to make sure the environs are still safe from swamp gas, and that I have some medication for sleeping that we want to make sure is on the correct regiment, of course.
Yes. I'm going to say that Abigail is clearly she's figured out something's off. But she's resolved not to, she's resolved to say, oh, yes, well, it's glad that we had you here and glad you're safe. Just swamp gas, right? But she's giving particularly Sir Reggie looks like, we're going to have a conversation about this. But after you all clean yourselves off because you're really, really gross, go to bed, make sure Charlie's fine. He's fine. He's still super loopy from all the drugs you gave him. So it's very easy for him to fall back asleep. Double check and make sure that the window's locked. Get cleaned up. Get what little sleep that you can that night. Have breakfast in the morning. You actually get to meet Sir Charles, well, again, because Sir Reggie has met him. Charles, the elder, will kind of come down, and he's got his nose in a book while everyone is eating breakfast. He kind of walks over, opens up one of the little pots, pulls out like a sausage, and is eating it. Very not entirely proper, a little bit casual. And then we'll sort of be surprised to see all of you. It's like, well, all right then. Everything go well. Well, Sir Reginald, is that you?
So Charles, lovely to see you.
Yes. Well, I'm glad you could make it. Why are you here?
Oh, we were asked down by your wife to have a
Ah,
look at it,
ah.
just in case. You know.
Well, you must check out the collection. You're an adventurer, aren't you?
Oh, I would love to.
Ah, yes. Have Abigail show it to you. But maybe not today. Come back again. Set up a special appointment, and we'll show you through the collection. All sorts of really fascinating things I've collected over the years, oh boy.
I would be delighted.
Come back with other ladies. I can show you the collection of fertility idols. But anyway, I need to go into town today. So, next week, sometime. All right. Good to see, ladies. And then he grabs another sausage and kind of wanders out and goes back in the book. Charlie is a little bit groggy. He's like, I still have no idea what happened last night. Was I sleepwalking again? I just know I woke
Yes.
up and... I mean...
It's a symptom of the swamp gas.
Oh, okay. Because I could have sworn that Sir Reggie was like... I don't know. I wasn't quite sure what was going on. Let me just say it that way.
Maybe it was just sort of a dream
Okay.
because of the swamp gas.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks. I guess. You think
Yes. Well,
you think it'll
if
be
you
over?
need more sleep medicine,
I think
you
I'm
might
probably
wanna-
okay. I might actually.
Are you sure? I
I-
have plenty.
I think I might go back to Providence, actually. You know? I mean, it's almost time to head back anyway. So, but thanks. I'll let you know if I'll go to my own doctor. It'll be fine. But thank you, I suppose.
Yes, of course.
Dr. Wells, am I clear to go? I don't think I'm crazy.
Yes.
I mean, if it's swamp gas, then obviously I'm not like losing my mind or whatever.
You are in fact clear to go.
Great.
Have safe travels, good studies, study hard.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Thanks. And then he'll kind of, as he goes, he'll like walk out with Abby, and you can hear him go, "Those people are so weird." And Abby will say, "You don't know the half of it." So you'll hear them talking. Mr. Wise, the lady of the house hasn't come down this morning. Mr. Wise will come to you and say, "Well, I suppose you've solved the mystery. Swamp gas."
Yes, quite.
Well-
Have you had a moment to fix the car yet?
I have not. However, I am more than happy to give you a ride and provide you with a spare. I'm sure a man of the world such as yourself is more skilled at the messy business of replacing a tire than I am.
Well, that's awfully kind of you, chap.
Yes, and the mistress of the house says, well, her beauty sleep was disrupted last night, so she did bid me to tell you thank you so much for helping her achieve what she most dearly wanted, which was to see to it that everything's fine with Charlie and that there's no reason whatsoever for him to be institutionalized. You'll never know what a relief that is to her. Well, I suppose you should get your things, shouldn't you? So, montage, all your stuff is loaded up. They do have a lovely, lovely car. Some appropriate late teens, very fancy vehicle. He actually drives rather quickly. So he gets you back to your vehicle rather quickly. He does, in fact, have a spare that is suitable. He does, in fact, watch you without offering to lift a finger as you switch it, but you do. But before we get to that, as you are all driving away, I would like one last spot hidden from everyone.
Apparently, my eyes are on the road.
Yes. And someone should spend
So-
all the boons.
I have success.
Okay.
I got a 36 under 75, which is
A hard
the
success.
5.
Yes.
The half, yeah.
Yep. So Reggie is just looking at the lovely day. Eloise notices again that someone is watching as you depart. But because it's daytime or the angle of the light is right, you can see that it is, in fact, the lady of the house, Drusilla. Dr. Wells, and maybe noticing, or maybe Eloise kind of nudges you, Dr. Wells, to look up, and you do see Drusilla. And I will say you notice two things. One, go ahead and give me a psychology, since you were able to see her face clearly enough.
It's a 13 under 75, which is the extreme success.
Wow. So yes, there is a look of madness on her face, but not a gibbering, disorganized sort of madness, a very cunning type of madness that you have run across only a few times in your career. And then with the hard spot hidden, what you realize is that she again puts her hand on the window to watch you as you drive away, and you see a ring on her finger. And the camera zooms in with your eyesight, zooms in to see it is a remarkably familiar gold ring with maybe a glint of blue glow to it. As you leave the estate, get back in your car once the tire is repaired and make your way back to Arkham. The end. And everyone lived happily ever after. But you do have standing invitations, particularly Sir Reggie, to come back and learn about the collection. So, well done, everyone. Sir Reggie only got eaten once.
Not twice.
Not
Just one
twice. Yes. And no one fell in a hole. So, pretty well. And no one went insane. This was a very terrible, terrible, no good, bad game of Call of Cthulhu because no one went insane.
time. Does it count? Some of us are already a little insane. Just a little bit.
I mean, thank you for making me feel better, Misha. Yes, that does assuage my guilt a bit. So hey, let's do the thing. Let's start actually this time with Twy.
Hello, I am Twi'lek, and I have been playing Sir Reggie Keaton. I have managed to tick 5 skills today, so I'm happy. And this was a general failure to solve the problem because the kid's going to be killed in the next evil scheme. But oh well. It's the skills that are the important part of Call of Cthulhu.
Yes.
Sin.
So I only got one check mark failed.
You only failed one skill the entire time?
Yeah, that was listening.
Oh, wow. Well, good job.
Which I guess fits because my headphones died, so now
Ugh.
I'm linked in through a speaker, so that's fun.
No worries.
But yeah, I've been sin or sinful _ potato on Twitch and other places. I've been playing Dr. Wells, who is mid-30s, psychologist, psychiatrist, all that fun stuff. And, everything is logical. There's a logical explanation for this, just haven't found it yet, but, there's something there.
Yeah.
Swamp gas.
Something.
Yeah, it's always
Yeah.
swamp gas.
Misha.
All right. I'm Misha _ less than 3 here on Twitch. Not that I stream. I've been playing Eloise, who also only checked one thing in psychology, unless I can also improve my stabbing ability with knives, because I did miss with that.
Yeah, that
But
counts.
okay. Well, then 2 things.
Well done.
You also missed the
And
lesson check. Everybody missed.
did I miss a listen? Oh
Mhm.
yeah, I did. That's the other problem, is that sometimes I forget to click things. 3 things. I'll be on here next though, because I put out a call for drop-in games, and I'm like, I can't make all the times, but it turns out I will still schedule all the times I can make, as it turns out. So I think we are doing more of this on Thursday, and then either this or something else, I'm going to ask Twi later, on the 6th. So
This or
See you
Survive
then.
or Zombies, one or the other.
yeah,
Cool.
we'll see what it is.
Awesome sauce. Well, thank you for doing that. And I am Zero or Zero Daylight, and I'll be here next whenever Misha tells me, because I can't manage my own life. Anyway, so yes, thanks everyone for playing. Thanks everyone for dropping in and dropping the banes and boons and all the good stuff. We used quite a few of them this time. This one was rather silly, but that's fine. Sometimes it is silly. Sometimes the horror is more slapstick than anything else, apparently. I promise next time will be very, very glum and just a real downer. So you have that to look forward to. All right, then. So we should say goodbye to our friends here on YouTube, and then we'll super sneak back and get right out to someone. So goodbye, everybody.